Everyone thinks because you're a zombie, you don't know good coffee. Well, they're wrong. There's only one brew that gets my seal of approval. Deadly Grounds coffee is my guilty pleasure. The aroma is so intoxicating. It brings all of my neighbors out of the woodwork. Deadly Grounds coffee. Coffee to die for and zombie approved. It's good to get a little deadly. Use the front door! Oh, they're so disgusting.
The Dorkening and all affiliated shows are not intended for anyone under the age of 18. The following may contain discussions or scenes that have adult situations, graphic violence, nudity, strong sexual content, and graphic language. This show is intended for mature audiences only. Viewer discretion is advised.
Ladies and gentlemen, the motion picture you're about to see contains scenes so terrifying the public must be given grave warning.
Hello and good evening, and welcome everybody to Shivers. It is Shivers tonight, not the Bloody Binge. The Bloody Binge will be tomorrow afternoon. But guys, it is May 1st. It is halfway to Halloween. You know what that means. We have 6 months to get ready for, only 5 months to get ready for the haunt season and Halloween and everything like that. So I figured, why not bring on some fellow haunters to Revelis or was it Regel? I can't remember the word now. This is they put me on the network with all the authors and I can't even think of the word. But to tell us their stories of paranormal happenings in their haunts. For those who know, a lot of haunts out there actually are in haunted buildings. Especially here in Ohio, we have Mansfield. The Ohio Reformatory runs Blood Prison every year. That is extremely haunted. Eastern State Penitentiary in Pennsylvania, the Haunted Hydro up near Cleveland, and so many other across the country. Dent Schoolhouse is actually pretty haunted itself. Not to mention one of the best, one of the best haunts in the country, in all honesty. And even the dungeon, the Hell's Dungeon is haunted. I have not experienced anything there in the 3 years I've been there now, but they're haunted. It's said to be haunted. It's in the basement of an old basement of a shopping center. So, of course, it's going to be a little creepy in there. But tonight I have 3 fellow haunters from across the country. I think 2 of them are actually both from Ohio, and we do have one from Phoenix who's going to be joining us on the show tonight to tell us the tales of paranormal happenings in their haunts. And then afterwards, we'll get into the news and everything that we normally do first. We'll do that in the second hour. I want to jump right into some stories. So our first guest we're going to add him to the stage now. We're going to go ahead and add Rick Brown from Nightmare at the Infirmary in Monroe County, Ohio, correct?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, where what city? I'm doing fine, sir. How about you?
I'm wonderful.
So what city is it actually in? Is it just the county?
The infirmary is actually located just outside the city limits of Woodsfield, Ohio. That's our county seat. And it was originally built as the Monroe County Poorhouse in the mid 1800s. So it stood there through the Civil War, and it has a lot of Civil War history, and this has an extensive history.
Do you know a little bit about the history? Maybe just the brief description of it, real quick, if you don't mind.
A lot, sure. Like I said, it was built in the mid 1800s as the county poorhouse. Anybody that couldn't afford to take care of themselves or whatever on their own was sent there. It also dubbed as a children's home until the children's home was built in the early 1900s. A lot of bad, tragic farming accidents happened out there. A lot of suicides happened out there. They had a lot of mental health issues out there that were untreated because it was the county poorhouse. They were just looked at as being not important. There are horror stories of the some of the residents being chained and caged in the basement of the facility, and that is 100% true. They were merely like I'm going to say Alzheimer's dementia patients today. Back then, they didn't know what was wrong with them, so all they knew was they needed to keep them out of society, so they chained them up. Also, right in front of them, if someone would pass away, they would bring bodies down to leave and wait on the morticians for up to 10 days. So these people that really weren't crazy, so to speak, had to sit there and watch a decaying body for up to 10 days right in front of them. It's just the stories go on and on and on. There's a lot of activity in that building. The very first night we were there, we saw a shadow person cross the hall. We had a door slam. We had some papers and stuff rustle on the floor, and I was firmly touched on the front of the shoulder. And the spirits that are in that building definitely let you know they're there.
So they're probably not happy about people being there with how they were treated when they were alive. If they remember some with being Alzheimer's patients and that they might not remember, and that's even if it's
right.
God, I can't think of the damn words tonight. Because there's two types of hauntings, of course. There's I think is it reciprocal? The ones where where the spirits know what I think that's the word, where the spirits know what they're doing, and then there's others that are just essentially memories burned into the fabric of the building, like basically,
Right. And these I think there's a little bit of both out there. Yeah, that is residual and intelligent.
Yes.
And
thank you, Katrina.
I believe there is both out there because there's things that they do that's obviously intelligent. I know the first weekend that we had our haunt, as soon as we closed for the evening, everyone was out of the building. The actors were coming out to get some air, and everything just broke loose inside, slamming doors, all kinds of noises from inside the old infirmary, and nobody in there.
Damn, yeah, that
and it just seemed like they were
just not happy that you guys.
Right.
Basically, and it's pretty obvious. Yeah, it's pretty obvious they don't want you there, essentially. But
we told them we were there to stay.
And sometimes you have to do that.
Right, and we meant no respect or disrespect. And I spent days on top of days out there, walking through the building. Lots of slamming doors, lots of footsteps, and up and down the hallways. Just tons of different things. Wheeled carts moving on their own power, the length of a hallway. We had several incidents happening while we're trying to set up. We put something somewhere and it gets moved immediately. They kind of toyed with us a lot. It did calm down for the second weekend, but I basically told them, I said, rest assured we will be back, because this is our new home and this is a very important thing. And I said, we're here to tell your story of anything else. And we try to do that, you know, when we have the haunt, we try to tell the story of the infirmary, because that's a vital role in some of the stuff you see inside, some of the things you experience, and, you know, just the building itself. When you go in, you start to understand. It all starts coming together.
I mean, if you have a built-in haunted story or a built-in backstory like you guys do, it's brilliant. In all honesty, it's common sense to, you know, use that story as part of the haunt. You know, because especially that is actually a brutal story. You know, that's
and a lot of violence. You know, there was one records out there of one lady that was cold in the wintertime, got too close to the fireplace, caught fire, and burned up. She basically burnt to death. There's records of child abuse, sexual abuse, you know, all kinds of things out there at the county infirmary.
Yeah.
And it was in business. It was still in business in 1980.
Good Lord.
And finally closed. Yeah. It finally closed in the early 80s, and the county tried to use it for some other things. And then they built a new care facility onto it, which is partially why there's a couple reasons they cannot tear it down. One is because to save money, they trunked all the utilities and everything from the old building to the new, which was a bad idea. But in the meantime, the Michigan brown bat moved into the attic. So they cannot demolish the building because the bats have claimed it as their home.
And I'm going to take a wild guess here and say that's an endangered species of bat.
It is. And we actually had to have officials come in and check to see what we were doing, our ideas and our plans to see that the bats would not be disturbed. We've not had an issue with the bats. We've had more of an issue with paranormal.
See, we have here I'm in the Dayton area. We have the Lewisburg Caves less than half an hour away. I've been to them a couple of times, and the first time I went, I had never been in a cave before or anything like that. And the first thing to tell you is, there's like 100,000 bats in here. And so if as you're walking through, you get one jumps out and attaches to you, make sure you yell bat, 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 and somebody will come out and pull it off. So I'm looking left and right. I'm more concerned about the bats than anything else. And then about a third of the way through, I'm sitting here thinking, wait a damn minute. These bats ain't going to fuck with me. All this banging and thumping and that is good. They wouldn't be able to find us. You know? So right. I mean, but I get it. But that's great though that they can't. But you guys are hooked up to another hospital?
They actually connected the new nursing home to this building. It's actually connected to it. And literally, like on the second floor, there are double doors, and you go through the double doors, and you're from the old side into the new side. And because at one point in time, when they first opened the new facility, they used both sides, and it was just, it's been terrible. Now they use it for storage and different things like that. And I mean, we never know what to expect when we go out there. We fully expect to see things tore down, things, not the way we left them. Mm-hmm. So, of course, we go early to be prepared and have enough time to fix things. Now, the one night we did get the bats all riled up with, and not intended, but we did get them riled up with fog. The fog made them pretty active. And we aired the building out quickly, and they calmed right back down.
Shoot, use the sound effects.
Yeah.
But again, screwing with an endangered species is never a good idea either, because a lot of laws protecting them.
Yes.
So when did you guys open up?
We actually opened up. In 2019 here at the theater. We started off the haunted house here at the theater, which is also haunted. And that's where I'm at now. And then we got the chance. We kept talking and asking about the infirmary because it was just the perfect haunted house.
Mm-hmm.
And then last year, the company that owned it said, sure, if you can meet our requirements, we're willing to do this. So we cut them in on the proceeds. You know, part of it benefits their activities department,
Mm-hmm.
which is a good thing. And then we had waivers signed, and all the actors understand that under no circumstances can the residents in the new side be disturbed for any reason at any time. Or that's our first and foremost thought. We had to get our insurance protection in place and all that. So it was a pretty long deal getting everything together, but we finally did, and it was great. You know, and the company that owns it was actually thrilled to the moon because they said they appreciated how seriously we took it, what a professional job we did, and they loved the experience that we were able to give people in that old building.
Which is always the greatest thing in the world when you hear that, you know, the people who own the building are happy with it, people who come through are happy with it, you know.
Right.
Hi, Jenny. Hello. Miss you on the show, Jenny. Jenny, for those who don't know, Jenny is one of the many people on the Owl Light Network, and she's normally my co-host on a lot of these shows.
Okay.
She's got a few things going on right now, so she's taking a little bit of a hiatus. You could say. Hopefully we get you back soon, Jenny. It was supposed to be me and Raz again tonight, but Raz had an emergency come up, so it is just me tonight. You guys are stuck with my pretty face tonight. But yeah, I mean that's great. So you guys, does the infirmary still run a haunt, or are you guys just in the theater now?
Yeah. No. We are maintaining the infirmary. In fact, we have what we're calling a summer teaser that'll be the last weekend of June. We'll be open a Friday night and Saturday night for haunts, and then we'll be back, of course, in October for our main haunt. And we have food trucks out there, all kinds of stuff going on. We make sure that people have what they need. This year, finally, we're coming back out with T-shirts. We had to get rid of all the T-shirts from the theater before we could do the infirmary. So we finally did that. So this year we'll have T-shirts, and they are really cool. I can't wait to bring those out.
That's great. I love haunt T-shirts. I always make sure when I go to a haunt, I always grab a T-shirt from the haunt. I have, so far from here in Ohio, I have the Hell's Dungeon shirts, of course, because that's where I work. I have a Dent Schoolhouse one, Land of Illusions, and Carnage.
Well, that's the best way in the world to show everywhere you've been.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is that's why I always want to help promote the haunts and everything, because that's the thing about the haunt industry, and why, to me at least, I've said it before on the show, but what separates the haunt industry from every other industry in the world is everybody can work together. You know,
Yes.
October, the haunt season is very long. People
yes.
People who love haunts aren't just going to go to one haunt.
Right.
They're going to go to multiple haunts in the area if there's multiple haunts available. So
Right.
it's just silly to fight over customers or anything like that when you could be working together. And that's one of the things that my boss does here at Hell's Dungeon is we have these things called industry nights, where we invite other haunts in the area to come in and check us out. We opened literally just for the other haunts in the area. And we've had Dent come down. We've had American Horrorplex in Kentucky comes up. Dayton Scream comes in, Carnage, and just a bunch of haunts in the area, And that's one of the things that my boss Fred wants to do is promote working together.
Right. And that's really important, and that makes things even that much better. And one of the things that surprised us was how far some of the people traveled to get here.
Oh yeah.
There was people that traveled 2.5, 3 hours, that I can remember here, and they came quite a ways to go through the haunted house. Yes, and we, believe it or not, we actually had Amish people come to our haunted house, which I thought was amazing, and they loved it.
Yeah, that's shocking right there. I mean,
Yeah,
depending on I know different sects have different rules and stuff like that, but that's pretty awesome though. Like, I don't know how I would react to that.
our community here, our Amish community, is very strict, and these ones kind of snuck around to come, but they loved it.
Were they teenagers or were they older?
They were younger. They were younger, but they were probably during Roomspringa.
Yeah. So what you said you were doing one in the summer? What were those dates again?
Yeah, it's the last weekend. I believe it's the 27th and 28th, or 28th and 29th of June. So last Friday and Saturday. I was just looking to see if I could see that for sure.
You're looking at the 28th, and you said the Friday and Saturday, or the Saturday and Sunday?
Friday and Saturday. It's 27th, 28th.
Yeah.
Yes.
Very nice.
Yes, and we'll have and something a lot of people give us a lot of credit for, and it keeps them coming back to see our haunts. It's never the same every time. You may there's 6 different ways we can have the people enter the infirmary, and we always make the entrance. The entrance this time won't be the entrance next time. The exit this time won't be the exit next time. Last time they come into this floor. This time they come in, they go straight to the 4th floor, and we keep it all jacked up so they never know what to expect.
That's always great too. That would confuse that would definitely confuse people if you have to go into a different door every time you go. And if you guys just change it up like every year, like you just go in chronological order. We'll go to this door, this door, this door, and then after the 6 years, go back to the other ones. And
yep, we'll just keep changing it up. And we tell them just show up. We'll show you where to go. Just show up.
I like that. That's pretty funny. That'd be pretty funny though, because people, especially with us, is people expect to see Rufus as our mascot. They expect to see him in the front and in the very first scene, because that's where he's been for like the past 3 or 4 years. Well, last year we changed it, and we put me, the groundskeeper, in the front scene. And the first thing, like when Scare Factor came through, the first thing they said was, "Where the hell's Rufus?" He's in here, but I'm not going to tell you where.
Yep.
But when do you guys open for the actual season?
Well, we'll be deciding that in the next couple of weeks. Last year we were open the last 2 full weekends of October. This year we're considering the last 3 weekends of October. We're really growing, and we're trying to grow with the attendance that we have.
Jen, if that's you, you can definitely join. You could always join. But so yeah, that's great, man. It sounds like a great time. I might check you guys out this year if I get time. Because I'm on the fence of whether of retirement or continue going in the haunt industry myself. I've been doing this for like 30. This is my 31st year, and yeah, I'm on the fence about retirement or continue going. I'm probably going to continue going, in all honesty, but it does sound like a good time. Where are you guys located one more time?
We are in Southeast Ohio in Monroe County, just about 3/4 of a mile outside of the city limits of Woodsfield. And you can also find us on Facebook at Nightmare at the Infirmary. Or you can Google Monroe County Infirmary and there will be stuff come up about it.
Okay. Do you guys have a website?
Right now, just our Facebook page. We're trying to work on the website. We got our theater's undergoing a $4.6 million renovation right now, so we're a little crazy with everything, but we're still trying to make things happen.
Okay, well, that sounds. It just sounds like I said. It sounds like a great time. I'll definitely try to get up there to check you guys out. Are you guys only open on Fridays and Saturdays, or the whole weekend?
Right now we're just Fridays and Saturdays, but we may look at extending the weekends too. We've always taken before into the fact that we had a few youth actors, and so we always kept that in consideration. What we did, but it's been great.
Well, that's good. So, do you have any special paranormal story you want to tell? Like, do you have? Is there a specific spirit that people should look for when they come through? Like,
I would honestly say if they're going to look for something, to watch for shadow people. There is a shadow out there that we've seen countless times. I'm going to say it's around 46 to 50 inches tall, and it just simply crosses the hall. The nursing home staff has seen it hundreds of times. We've seen it countless times. There's been paranormal teams that have been in out there. That's a hard place to get in to investigate because they had a bad experience with a couple teams, and they're really not too keen on letting any more in. I get that. But the shadow people are the biggest, and just be ready to be touched. So I think some people get touched there and don't realize it.
It's very possible.
Yeah.
All right, Rick, thank you for joining the show. It's been a pleasure talking to you, sir.
You as well. Thank you for having us on.
Oh, no problem, man. I'm like I said, we work. A lot of us who work with the network are haunters. Like I've said before, we actually Pile, who hosts an actual haunted house show every other Wednesday called Chainers, is actually a member, and actually I think a board member of the Ohio Haunters Association. So yeah, we definitely do our best. We want to promote haunt and stuff like that. Even tomorrow when I do my movie show, the first thing I do is do haunt industry news, just because, like I said, I want to promote the haunt industry, the business, and everything like that. And definitely, I'm glad I'm able to do this show. And give me a second. So, Rick, I'm gonna put you backstage again, and if you want to stay and listen to the rest of the show, you're more than welcome to. If not, have a great night.
All right.
Thank you
too,
much.
Thank you.
And now we have a very special guest. It's Friday.
Hi.
Welcome back.
Thank you. It's been a nice vacation.
Very, very good. Very good. We've missed you, especially on the Bloody Binge. It's been an interesting couple of weeks. Yeah, don't be upset you missed that Cocaine Cougar movie. That movie was straight.
I won't.
That movie
I haven't
was,
found
that
the
movie was
gumption
straight.
to watch it.
Don't. I ranked it worse than Amityville Thanksgiving. Let's put it that way. It was that bad.
Alrighty.
So we're gonna move on. We're gonna go ahead and we're gonna talk to our second guest this week. We're going to talk to Katrina, who used to work right at the 13th floor haunted house in Phoenix.
Right.
Now they're a chain. Are they a chain?
Hi.
Yes, they are corporate owned. They're all over the U.S.
Yes, it's because I know there's one in Chicago, and I think I noticed a few more. I just can't. I think there's one in Vegas too. I think.
I'm not sure about Vegas, but there's San Antonio. There's Florida. I know there's one there in Ohio. They've expanded into L.A. They bought the L.A. Haunted Hayride a while back.
Oh, they bought the L.A. Haunted. I did not know that.
Yeah, well, that's the last thing I heard about it. They're
Wow,
trying to be like Starbucks.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how I feel about corporate-owned haunts, but
I got my own opinions.
Yeah, it is. I don't like corporations as it is. I've worked retail most of my life, so I have very strong opinions on them. But we do our best not to ruffle feathers on here. So, But so how long ago did you work for them?
I first started working with them in 2012, and my last employment of them was 2018.
Oh, so a good 6 years. Did you work at any other haunts before then, or is it just them?
They were my first haunt.
Are you currently working at one, or just?
Oh, I would love to, but where I currently live in South Carolina, it's a haunt desert. The closest big haunt for me to try and work at is Woods of Terror in North Carolina. It's like a 5-hour drive.
Wow.
And they have they have a wonderful little law here in the town I live in that trick-or-treating and Halloween activities is for 2 hours only on Halloween. So having a haunt, no. Yard displays are fine, but haunts,
you can't have a house. You can't have a home haunt.
Well, you probably could, but what would be the use of having it for 2 hours one day?
Yeah, I mean, I get it.
I'm
from Virginia Beach originally. I always called us the buckle of the Bible Belt because we had
it's 1,500
Pat Robertson and the 700 Club were filmed there, and Pat Robertson had his hands in a lot of the politics of the city in that. Definitely, I get it.
Yeah, they loosened up a little bit and allowed trunk or treating, but still just 2 hours.
Yeah, I hate trunk or treating though.
I do too.
I think it takes the fun out of trick or treating and out of Halloween, but
then again, where I live, it's extremely rural and farmland. So, like from one house to another, it's like a quarter mile. So,
I live on a main street now. I've stayed home a couple of nights on Halloween, and we don't get nobody. We really don't. Like I'll decorate my yard all the way up, and I get 3 trick or treaters the whole night.
I was born and bred in LA County, so yeah, trick or treating. Then living in Phoenix for nearly 20 years, where you can't sneeze without a jump scare happening.
That's how it feels like here in Ohio. We have I think per capita, the highest amount of haunted houses in the country.
Lucky.
Last count it was 129 officially listed ones.
Wow.
And that's throughout the entire state. I'm pretty sure there's a ton more that aren't listed. Not to mention the home haunts and stuff like that. It's haunted houses and Halloween is pretty big here. We have Circleville, which is about 45 minutes to an hour away from me, and that's where you have those giant pumpkin contests and things like that.
Yeah, my daughter lives in Mansfield.
Mary says that 133. Actually, I thought it was. They went up a little bit last year. So we have 133 haunts as of last year.
Woo, gross.
So, do you know any backstory of the building that it was held in?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
The original building, because they have since moved, because the owners have sold the building, used to be a Ralph's supermarket, which is, I guess, similar to what you would know as a Myers or a Kroger's. And it was 60,000 square feet.
Yeah, I think I've heard of Ralph's before.
Yeah. It had long been closed. I mean, like back in, I think, 2000, it closed and somebody bought it and then it sat vacant for a while. But the story that I was told was that there was an accident that happened there that involved the main butcher in the meat department.
Okay.
Where it was a full-on butcher department where you could say, "Can you cut this for me?" or whatnot. Mm-hmm. So they had all the slicers and the saws and whatnot. That he was cutting up a roast or something, and it hit the bandsaw hit the bone, and the saw blade snapped, and he died of his injuries. Well,
I'm not gonna lie. I don't mean to interrupt. I used to work at a grocery store, and I was going to work in the meat department just like that. And they were having me do the bandsaw. I'm like, this is scary as shit. This is the scariest stuff that I've ever dealt with. And I've worked on a farm. I've had to move a bull. I've had to move animals and stuff like that. But not the thing that worried me the most was that bandsaw kicking back like that. Still with us, Katrina?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay, making sure
Was
you
that
got
me or you?
I don't know.
You
We've
froze
had a lot of
first.
we've had a lot of bad storms here today, so it could be me. It could be our end.
That's no big deal. Okay.
Yeah. So so basically the ghost, the spirit they think haunts the building was it the butcher?
That's one of them.
Okay,
There's
one of
4.
them. Okay.
There
Continue.
was the butcher.
Mhm.
There was a entity that we named Hector. I'll describe him a little later because that's the one that I saw.
Okay.
There's a ghost of a little girl that was there. I think they said she was supposed to be like 8 or 9. And there was a ghost of a dog.
Those are always interesting.
One more. I forgot. There is a shadow person there that my daughter named Sir because he wears a top hat.
Oh, Hat Man.
Yes, the Hat Man. And she told me the story about her interaction with him during haunt season.
Okay.
And if you want me to relate that, I'll be more than happy. Cause that's
Go
the
right
only
ahead.
instance. Yeah, it's the only instance of a genuine haunting assisted scare. Because
Go right ahead.
my daughter was working in the area known as the mansion in the bedroom. And at the time, the safety things were a little bit on the lax side, and she was up in the rafters. And my daughter's very small, so it wasn't a thing of, she weighed 110 pounds wet. And she's up there in the rafters waiting to drop down onto the bed on people. And a group come in, and she sees this black form come through the wall. And it takes shape right in front of everyone. And they're all debating, is it a hologram? Is it a projection? Is it real? And everything. And my daughter pops down onto the bed and does her haunt voice and screeches that, yes, he is real. And he walked and faded right into the wall in front of the group. And she said that the group scattered. 3 ran into a wall, 1 ran out of the chicken exit, and 1 ran down the hallway. And she said she took everything it took for her not to bust out laughing. Because one person that hit the wall ended up with a bloody nose.
Once they start scattering, you're free to laugh. I do my best. I think I may have broke character. Like I said, I've been doing this for 30 years. I think I broke character 3 or 4 times. You're 100% welcome, free to laugh once they start scattering.
Oh, yeah. I told her you should have just made it evil. And the one that I saw, Hector, when I first started working at 13th floor, it was in the second half of mid-season drop-off. When you get to the mid-season, people get paid, and those people couldn't cut it, leave.
Yeah.
My daughter brought me in saying, you could, try it. You like it. And she goes, the place is haunted too. And I'm like, okay, yeah, all right, whatever. I'm a skeptical believer. Yeah, I believe there's spirits, but I think 99% of what people see aren't.
You know what? I'm the same way. I get in so many arguments because people will show me a picture and go, look, there's orbs. Like that's nothing. It's dust. It's gonna end up being dust or bugs.
Yeah. And my daughter's telling me, yeah, there's supposed to be ghosts here and everything. And one of the vets there in the haunt, her name was Reggie, comes up to me and she goes, oh, yeah, we got about 4 or 5 ghosts here. We got Hector, there's the butcher. You don't want to mess with the butcher. And there's a little girl, a little dog, and there's a little black mask that runs around, which it was the shadow guy. And I'm like, oh, okay, because I'm not expecting to see or experience anything. Year 3 of me working there, we was in dress rehearsals, and my position was in the graveyard area. And I'm hiding behind a fake wall because they're having the runners come through, be our patrons and whatnot, to practice the scares.
Mm-hmm.
And, all the ambience is going, all the lights, all the smoke and everything. And I'm peering around the corner, and I see a very tall, very lanky, what I thought was a person. Think Jack Skellington body. And we did have somebody working there at the time that had that thin of a build and was that tall.
Mm-hmm.
Not exactly that tall, but he was tall, but I was crouching down. And the way we build haunts with perspectives and everything. So,
Mm-hmm.
And he turns around, I make eye contact, and the head on this entity, best way to describe it was Baphomet. It was a goat's head. And I'm thinking it's one of the runners in one of the many masks and costumes we had. It was all black with a white goat head.
Oh, wow.
Doing this weird wavy arm, kind of like SpongeBob thing coming towards me. I pop into my spot to make the scare, and I'm waiting for this person to come around, and I'm waiting, and I'm waiting. And I peek out around again, nobody there. And then it dawned on me, that was Hector. And I come out from, the practice and everything, and I tell my daughter, I just saw Hector. And Reggie heard me, and she goes, you saw Hector, where were you? I said, well, I was over here by this wall by the guard shack in the graveyard. She goes, yeah, Hector hangs out in the guard shack. And I'm like, oh, gee, thanks for telling me this. It was the one and only time that I ever saw him. And it was rather interesting because if I think about it,
mm-hmm.
height-wise, he had to have been at least 8 feet tall. Not an exaggeration.
Is there a backstory for Hector?
No, there is not that I know of. All I was told is what he looked like and where he hangs out.
That sounds like a demon.
But he didn't have there was no bad feeling. There was no menacing presence. There was no fire, brimstone smell, nothing. To me, it was just goofy.
Oh, yeah, no. I mean, it was scary. I mean, if I realized I was a ghost, I was like, all right, guys, you know what? I've had a great time here. I'm going to go ahead and call it a night. I'm heading home now. I don't play around with that kind of stuff. But, yeah, that's just it. Because the way you're describing it does sound like a demon almost. But it doesn't, like you just said, it doesn't have the telltale signs.
No. And from all reports from other people that have, he's just hi, I'm here type, and disappears. The one that people were worried about and actually did damage was the butcher. He was very angry. He was more classified as a poltergeist.
Yeah.
He had actually taken one of the runners and picked her up and threw her against the wall.
Ow.
Yeah, he has gone after customers. He's gone after actors. He has destroyed props. And everyone figures that's because he doesn't like the fact that we were using the store as a haunt.
Yeah. Which definitely explains a lot, Could be angry. He could be angry about the way he died, because that's got to suck dying like that,
Yeah, I don't think it helped any that the asylum area was where the butcher shop used to be in the store. And that's where he hung out. It was right there. Now, I had a friend who had an interaction with them, but she said he protected her. She said she thinks he might have had a crush on her.
It's been known to happen.
Yeah, it's possible, and I'm kind of glad because she was always kind of the one that would get kind of bullied a bit. You know, the customers would get a little frisky on her because she was, you know, very pretty and that. And they had her, you know, dressed up in the nurse's outfit, which she hated. But
we have Nurse Anya. And yeah, I think Friday knows Nurse Anya.
Yeah.
They don't. Go ahead, Friday.
I don't think he would like him. I don't think he would like him, though.
No, most of the customers get a little weirded out when they meet Nurse Anya, or is it Inya? Because I think it's Inya, because I think it's Nurse Inya Bottom.
Yep. No, I can tell you right now, I don't think the butcher would like Nurse Inya.
He doesn't get. Let's put it this way: Nurse Inya doesn't get bullied. We do have a young kid in the elevator. He's very, very short that they try to bully on him sometimes. But the problem is there's 80 of us and 4 of you. Who's going to win this? We're going to win this fight every time. And that's one of my jobs as the guide. Well, I don't get all the way to the elevator, but the guide or the intro is I will get in people's face. If they show any kind of aggression, anger, anything like that, like they're going to cause a problem, I'll get right in their face at the beginning and tell them straight up, if you're going to fight anybody, you fight me. We got a bunch of kids in here, you know, I'm not going to play this game with you. So
13th floor can use a little up on their game on that.
Yeah, it's like, you know, if you're gonna play this game, why don't you go? You can go ahead and step out. You can go ahead and step out of line, and get the hell out now, because we're not going to put up with it. You know, there's a lot of underage kids in here that don't need to deal with this shit. You know, but yeah, I mean, it definitely sounds like a very active, very haunted place. But that polter, you know, the butcher would actually be, if you guys could make friends with, if they could make friends with him, he'd be a great security guard. I mean,
like I said early on, they moved out of that building now.
They did.
Yeah, the owner sold it. But if they took the guardhouse to the new place, Hector went with them.
It's very possible. Very possible.
Yeah, because I don't know, you know, the backstory for the little girl or for the dog.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know if they were attracted to there or if there, you know, was something that had to do before the store was there.
That's what I would assume, honestly.
Yeah.
I know back in Virginia, we had the Cavalier Hotel, and one of the floors is actually haunted by a cat. Nobody knows why, but there is a ghost cat.
Yeah, kitty.
Yeah. Sorry, Katrina. Well, you said you don't work in a haunt, so do you want people to be able to find you? You want to tell people where they can find you, or
yeah, I'm on
chat with you.
Yeah, I'm on Facebook under my name, Katrina Manis. You can find me there. I'm on Instagram as what am I using on my Instagram? I forgot. I change it once in a while. I'm on TikTok as Little Ol' Me.
All right.
Let's see here. Instagram. What's my Instagram? My phone is acting stupid.
Yeah, that happens sometimes. Mine likes to do that a lot.
Well, I got old phone. Come on. Give me my profile. Okay, the username on Instagram is haunted_doctor049. You'll see a plague doctor image there. That's my character.
Okay. Well, Katrina,
if they want to hire me, I am a very good scare person. I was icon for 2 years for 13th floor.
How close are you to Greenville? Because I know Greenville has one, I thought.
Greenville, are you talking North Carolina or South Carolina?
South.
Greenville, South Carolina is about 3 hours for me. I am 45 minutes of Myrtle Beach.
Ah, okay, there it is.
Yeah.
Hermes didn't have a year-round haunt?
They have Ripley's Believe It or Not haunted house.
I'd say because I work in Virginia.
Round.
Yeah, I work in Virginia. I used to work in Virginia Beach mid 2000s, and we had a year-round haunted house, and they always called us. I've never been to Myrtle Beach, honestly, but they always called Virginia Beach the cheaper Myrtle Beach. And I know we had one. I can't believe nobody's opened a haunted house out there besides Ripley's. That seems like just guaranteed money.
There are a couple of ones I see, when I look up haunted houses and that, but they're like the minimum 2 hours drive for me. And it's like that's a bit for me to go.
Yeah.
If I'm going to go to a haunted house, I don't want to have to get a hotel room.
Yeah,
because I don't drive at night.
Definitely. Well, Katrina, once again, thank you for joining us on the show. Thank you for your stories. Pleasure. And I hope you have, like I said, like I told Rick, if you want to stay in the backstage area, you're more than welcome to. If you wish to go and put on, and you can always watch it on the Owlite Network or where I set the links earlier. So, but once again, thank you for coming on, and we will definitely talk to you later. Have a great night.
Have a good night.
You too, ma'am.
Definitely. Thank you, ma'am.
Those are some crazy stuff. We've had some crazy stories tonight. I don't know how much of the haunted infirmary guy you were watching, but the backstory to that place was freaking crazy.
Definitely have to go back and watch the beginning of it because I didn't realize you were on until about 15 after, and then I joined.
Yeah, it's halfway to Halloween. You gotta make sure we have double shows this week, tonight and tomorrow. So our final guest
I'm looking
tonight.
Forward to tomorrow too.
Are you gonna join for Bloody Binge tomorrow? Are you gonna be able to? Did you watch the movie yet? I haven't.
Yeah.
Oh, of course you can. Have you watched the movie yet? Because I have not.
I've watched about half the movie. I keep getting distracted by people. And then you happened and I paused the movie again.
So, all right, we're going to go to our final guests, and it is going to be another Ohio haunter, Mary Mel, who works at Cincinnati Fear Fest, not too far from me, actually, down in Williamsburg.
Yeah.
How you doing tonight, Mary?
I'm doing good. How are you guys?
Doing great.
Blessed.
Now, Mary, not only, if I remember the story, I remember right from our first messages, you not only work for Cincinnati Fear Fest, but you're part of a paranormal group.
Absolutely. Yeah. So me and my husband started the Undead Explorers a little over 2 years ago. Paranormal has always been a big part of my life since I was little. Me and my dad used to go ghost hunting, things like that. When I met my husband, I actually found out he was a medium. So, and then my daughter, she's a little beacon. She really is. So it's a whole family thing for us. It's me, my son, my daughter, my husband. And we do different investigations. We've done a lot at East Fork State Park, which is an interesting place. We have recently started to explore Cincinnati Fear Fest, where we started with last year. We've always been customers there, and then we joined the team last year, and then we moved up to management this year. So,
wow, that was quick.
Yeah, kind of move along in there. So yeah, we're huge Halloween. Like our wedding anniversary is Halloween. So pretty much anything paranormal, Halloween, haunted, we do it. So.
That me and my wife at least are the same. I can't get my kid off the damn TV screen half the time, but me and the wife, like we're going. We go to horror movie conventions all the time, but being in the horror movies, working in the haunt industry for as long as I have, and that we're the same way. Like we have a gothic trade show coming that a lot of people. I'm thinking about going, but a lot of people are saying it was. I guess they changed their name from last year to this year. And I've heard not good things about it, so I don't know if we're going to be going or not. But yeah, we try to do a lot of kind of stuff. So I haven't been to I'm not gonna lie, I haven't been to Cincinnati Fear Fest even before it changed its name to Cincinnati Fear Fest, because I know
Yes. So we used to be known as Terror Town All Hallows Eve. And last year we partnered with another haunt in Michigan, which is Hush Haunted Attraction. They're a year-round haunt. They're like a haunt bar. Yeah, in Michigan.
Wow.
So we partnered with them last year, and we changed our name over to Cincinnati Fair Fest last year. So
it's always a place I wanted to visit, even like not even at Halloween, because I know it's in an old West town kind of.
Absolutely. Actually, my backdrop, that is our town.
Mm-hmm.
If you see the backdrop there, that's our old West setting town.
Ooh.
So
Yeah.
we have the whole town. We have our trail has always been our big thing. And then last year we added 2 new haunted attractions. So we had a sawmill haunted attraction, which is like a walk-through house type building, and then our theater. So we actually have 3 haunted attractions, the town, 2 secret bars, 2 full service bars, and live bands, entertainment. So one price gets you into everything. Of course, there's like add-ons and stuff that you can, fast pass lanes, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, you can literally spend the entire night there if you want and not run out of things to do. We do shows all through the town all night long. So
yeah, I've seen some videos from Scare Factor, and it looks like an awesome time as well. So definitely something I'll be looking into this Halloween. When do you guys usually open?
Our opening night this year. So we have a couple special events prior to opening, which is the first and second weekend. The first weekend of September, we have Camp Zool that comes in, and they'll have it for the weekend. We'll have the Haunted Trail open. We won't have the other attractions open, but we'll have that open during Camp Zool. Then we have a Bluegrass Festival the second weekend, and then that following weekend, the 20th of September, is our opening night. So,
are you guys open just Friday and Saturdays, or do you guys open other days?
So in September, we're just Friday, Saturday. October, we do Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So we've upped it up to 4. And we run all the way until the first weekend of November. So
I might talk to Raz to see if we can get a group to come down there on a Thursday night, which probably shouldn't be that big of an issue to get.
Yeah, Thursdays and Sundays are. Last year we started the Thursday, Sunday last year, so it was kind of new. But we still had a pretty good turnout on each night. It wasn't like super busy, but
yeah,
if you want a little more of a relaxed atmosphere rather than that crowded, atmosphere that we get on the Fridays and Saturdays. So.
Yeah, and I could assume Friday and Saturdays kind of gets a little rowdy in that. So if you want to come with your kids, the best time would be a Thursday or a Sunday.
Absolutely. We try to make it family friendly as much as we can, but making people understand it is a haunt. So we do advise 13 years or older, just because of language. There is bars, things like that. Prior to last year, we were a complete touch haunt. We are no longer doing touch, but we are bringing some of the blood scenes back this year. Nice. So there is going to be some scenes that you might be able to get bloody in. Just saying.
That's everybody's favorite thing. I love when you actually get blood on somebody or something like that, and they just start freaking out, and you're sort of like, it'll come out in the wash. Don't calm down. Right. It'll come out in the wash. It's water based. You're fine. So, where did you get is this your first haunt ever working, or have you worked other haunts before?
This is my first haunt that I've ever worked at. My husband works there as well, and so does my son. Me and my son, this is our first haunt. My husband used to work with Dent USS Nightmare.
Oh, wow.
He did the Wilmington bus ride back in his 20s and stuff. He's 40 now. So he didn't want to get back into haunts. But me and my son we got into it, and then he kind of tagged along with it. So
it's one of those things that doesn't leave your blood.
Yeah. It
really doesn't. But those are some of the bigger haunts in this area too. Like I love Wilmington Hollow, the Wilmington haunted hayride. Friday, because Friday actually lives in Texas, so I'm pretty. She's never. I don't know if you've ever heard of the Wilmington one. Have you, Friday? You never heard us talk about that one? Wilmington Hollow is Wilmington haunted hayride. I don't
remember.
It's the one with the monster with the semi trucks that'll chase the bus. with flames coming out of the smokestacks. It is crazy.
No, I don't remember that one, but I know that sounds amazing.
It's crazy. I don't know how they do it. It's just amazing because they're like not going slow either. They're going full speed. Like these trucks are getting it. But I digress.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sorry. I always get excited talking about haunts and that. And Den, like I've said before, Den's one of the best in the country, if not the state. You know, it's just amazing. We have them come in every year to when we do our haunt industry night at the dungeon, which again, you guys are always welcome to come down to as well. I don't know. We never know when we're doing it until the season starts.
Mm-hmm.
And he just automatically tells us one night, hey, we're going to do the industry night. And it's literally just a night for haunts to come down and check us out.
I think Dent does something like that too. I seen last year, like if you came in some of your haunt gear, they give you it's 20. It's like a little badge or a patch or something that they were giving out for it. So
and it's like $20 versus the almost 30 I think that they charge or something. It's a good discount.
Yeah.
They don't close on Sundays, so they don't, they're open on Sundays, so they can't, just get people in. Plus, it's actually better that way because a lot of times when you do an industry night and you tell the kid, to tell all the actors, hey, we have all these haunts coming in and they get to go through for free. Can you? And you guys aren't going to get paid for this night. Can you show up?
Right.
I don't know about that. You know how kids can get sometimes.
Yeah. But, we have a couple. I know Twisted Trails came and seen us. Land of Illusion. Some of their actors came to see us last year. I thought I heard someone say Haunted Hoochie had a few people there.
Oh wow!
So yeah,
that's another one on my. That's another one that's on my bucket list. I haven't lived here for 12 years and I haven't not gotten to go to Haunted Hoochie yet.
Yeah.
So where do we get started with the haunts, with the haunting, the paranormal?
Okay, so paranormal, there's not a whole lot of history to the land. So they purchased the land back in 2019. One of the most prevalent thing, I think, that where some of the paranormal comes from, we have a residual energy there. There was actually right after they'd purchased the land, the story that I was told was the police had showed up for a missing man and his phone had pinged on the property. And so they had asked if they could search the property. When they went out to the wood lines, they had found that the man had took his life in the wood line. We have done our investigations out there by that. And it's like he's in a constant loop. So like he'll constantly go through like the thoughts and things like that on the spirit box that what he was going through. And the pain that he was feeling before he took his life. And then he kind of starts back over. So I know we have that one out there. There's been said that with the Camp Zool, some divot boxes, I don't know if they were real or not, was open on the property. We have experienced some more of the darker energy out there. There is an entity, there's a lot of shadow people. So there was one night they said that they had thought that they lost people from the trail, like customers from the trail, because they kept seeing people out in the far side of the field that we don't use. And a whole team went out there to go search and there was nobody out there. And so you'll often see the shadows walking to and from in that back field. And it's not actually people back there. We have a new one that we've discovered in the last couple of months. We call her Shelly. She's very flirtatious. I'm not sure where she comes from, but she loves to flirt with the men. It's great. She seemed like a very down-to-earth party person. And we're very close to, we're right down the street from Claremont County Hospital. We've got 32 right there. There's a lot of accidents that happen in that area. We've got East Fork where a lot of suicides, a lot of things. So there's a lot in that area that could contribute to where some of these spirits are coming from. So to pinpoint the exact, like, this is why they're here, I can't tell you that.
Yeah.
We try, but we get bits and pieces. Almost, I can't think of a time that we haven't done an investigation out there that we haven't got stuff on the equipment in the spirit boxes.
That's actually pretty impressive.
We actually had, I think they were called the Ghost Brothers. They even came in and did an investigation. Yeah. They posted a video on YouTube of theirs. I don't know how they got their stuff to work. Every time I record, when I go back to see, it's all disrupted or distorted. And I'm like, why do you guys keep messing up my footage? I can't use any of this. Probably one of the most interesting stories was from last season, though. So that's the thing. It's typically we don't really have too many issues during the season. That's the weird. It's usually just when we're all there, like after, when the workers are there, or,
I think I've heard some. I don't mean to interrupt, but I think I've heard stories before too of when there's large groups of people, they kind of get a little shy. Spirits can get a little shy sometimes.
Absolutely, and I don't even know if people even realize if they are being messed with, that they are, because of the atmosphere you're in. You're already scared. There's already stuff going on. So how do you know, is this real? Is this fake? Is this part of the haunt? So sometimes I think people may be having experiences, but they don't know to talk about that experience because they don't realize it's an actual experience that they're having.
It's one of those things where they just walk back and go, hey, that's weird. And just keep going,
Absolutely. But one of the more, we have a gypsy trailer on the property that we use for our fortune teller. And that was probably one of our most active areas this year during season. Our gypsy, she would go in there and she actually does palm readings, fortune telling, stuff like actual, not fake, like real readings. And there were several times that we would go in that night before we'd open the gates, and everything was ripped off the walls in the trailer. We thought somebody was messing with us for the longest time. And then there was one day we went in that we knew nobody had been on the property, and it was like that. There was one night she was in there with a customer doing a reading. She said it got very, very cold in there to where she could even see her breath. And yes, it gets cold in October, but it wasn't that cold. Like, you could definitely tell the difference from the outside temperature and inside that booth. So she had a lot of, there was one crazy night, like her hair ended up getting set on fire and everything else in there. Yes. It would make her sick. There were it got to a point where she's like, I'm not going back in that trailer. Like, I just can't do it.
They don't like her, apparently.
Yeah. I don't know what it was about her, but it was on her pretty hard.
So I have to ask though, how did her hair get set on fire?
She was doing a reading and she had a candle in there, and I guess when she was sitting there doing it, and I don't know if she leaned over the candle or what happened. She said the next thing she knows, it felt very warm and her hair was on fire. So, yeah, I don't know if they actually did it, if she did it, if it was a combination of everything that was going on, because that was one of the more active nights of here. But yeah, she was. And then it was funny because she had called me, we had left, and she had called me and she's like, yeah, I just left. And it was 2 a.m. and I'm like, I didn't even know you were still there. No one even knew she was actually still there in the trailer. Wow. Yeah, it was one of those crazy, crazy nights. But
have you guys ever thought of putting a camera in there for when no one's there or something?
So we have done a couple solo investigations with just a camera, spirit box. There's some interesting things that come across the spirit box, but they don't really move nothing when the camera's on. It's they'll mess with the equipment, but they will not move anything while we're recording.
So you guys think it's an intelligent haunting then?
Absolutely. That is definitely.
They know.
Yes. We also have an intelligent spirit. I'm not sure. I don't know if it's a spirit. I don't know if it's a demon, kind of what it is, but we have a church out there. That we build. It's part of our haunt, actually part of our trail, that a lot of people have had a lot of experiences inside of this church. People have had stuff thrown at them inside this church. Most of them won't even go out into the church by themselves. They have to take someone out with them, because you just get this uncomfortable feeling when you go inside this church. So yeah, that's definitely, we have a lot of intelligent ones out there. They'll hold a whole conversation with you as well. And they can answer back and forth with the equipment, the spirit boxes, the spirit talker. And we've used a lot of equipment to make sure that it's all coinciding with each other. So it's not just one thing. So we'll use spirit talker in the spirit box. and the REM pods and cat ball, and we've had activity on absolutely everything.
So yeah, I like that, because a lot of folks out there will just go, look, I got this recording on this tape recorder.
Mm-hmm.
Well, how do I know that's not you, just you whispering?
Right.
Or something like that. But you guys have the of it, and that's what I've always said before. Like one of my, and this isn't from a haunt, but one of the probably the best pictures I've ever gotten. I've said it 100 times before. I don't believe in orbs. I don't believe orbs or anything when they take pictures. Half the time I think it's dust. I think it's bugs or dirty
lighting,
lids or something. But there was this one time we were in Gettysburg. Me and my brother, we went on one of the ghost tours the first night we were there. We had a haunt convention the second night, and the third night we decided to go back to where the ghost tour took us, and we tried to do it before dusk because if you've never been to Gettysburg, you're not allowed on the battlefield or anywhere near the battlefield after dark, because not because they worried about people going to look for ghosts. They're worried about people going and trying to find the Civil War relics and so we're in these woods that's right next to the high school, and my brother takes a picture, and there's this weird light like off in the distance, and he's showing me, and I'm like, okay, where exactly were you standing? Because I got a better camera than you. I got this like high priced digital camera. Again, this is like 2008, 2009. So I go stand exactly where he was standing, and I just flash off about, well, no flash. I turn my flash off, but like I shoot off about 5 or 6 pictures. In the first picture, I don't see anything. The next one, the light's back, but it's on a different side. And then for the next 3 pictures, it's getting closer and closer to the camera, and then finally it's on top of the camera. And that's why I tell people all the time, if you're going to go, investigating, make sure you have enough evidence to back up what you find.
Yeah.
That's why I said, and that's why I love that idea that you guys have all these recording devices going at the same time.
We are huge with debunking. That's actually one of my favorite things to do. Because like I love the ghost hunting. I love watching this stuff. And there's so many out there on YouTube right now. But what I hate is when like you're watching it and they hear a noise. Come in. They hear a noise and they're like, oh my God, it was a ghost. Like, I hate that. Like, investigate it. Find out. Like, I will literally sit there and like watch stuff over and over to see, can I debunk this? Was there someone talking at this time? Was this going on? Because I truly want to know, like, what is this? Is this something in the atmosphere? Is this an actual entity or spirit? Like, what is going on?
Yeah.
And that to me is the fun part of it all.
And then 100% that, I'm big into history and things like that. Like, I'm not going to lie. I used to watch Ghost Adventures all the time. But when they started moving away from the historical part of it, like where they spend like the first, half of the show, almost the 45 minutes of the show, talking about the history of the building, the dark history, what's happened there and that, then get into the investigations. I loved that. When it started being every freaking haunting, every location. Well, that's a demon. That's a demon.
Yeah.
No. Can you go look?
Right. That's like we've tried to do some of the investigation for because I'm big on that too. Like I want to know, why is this place haunted? What is going on? What can we get some information to even maybe help the spirits that are in this area?
Yeah.
Because we've come across encounters of people didn't know why they were there. The spirit doesn't understand it. There are some confusing things, and we don't know the first thing when it comes to the other side and the veil and things.
No.
So we've tried, and it's so weird because this property in particular at Cincinnati Fear Fest in Williamsburg, there's not really any history on this land. Like I've looked. The only thing I can find is I do know that the Morgan Raiders during that time did actually stay in that area on that land when they like kind of took over some of the stuff in Williamsburg, which Williamsburg is an old town anyways. There's a lot of history to the town itself.
And you guys aren't that far from Cincinnati, which has been like a major city since Ohio was founded.
Yes.
I'm sure that the Miami Indians lived in settled on that property,
we're not
years
too
and
far
years and
from,
years ago.
we've got Serpent Mound. We've got a lot of
Yeah.
different Indian mounds around. Even East Fork has its own Indian mound inside of it too. So there's so much rich history to the lands themselves.
And then on top of that, I'm sure you guys aren't that far from the Ohio River.
No.
Or any, yeah. So there's a lot of reasons that could be. There's just it's a guess. That's probably the best way to put it. Is that it's a guess.
Yeah, that's and we've definitely we're exploring. We're doing a whole lot of renovations this year. We're actually not going to say what, but we're changing some things. So hopefully, our fans can come out and enjoy that, because we are taking a little bit of a different approach this year. But we've talked about even potentially maybe opening the park for paranormal investigations once we know some more about it. I know I've talked with some of the owners and stuff about that. That's definitely something that we're looking into. So maybe in the future we can invite people out to do some of them paranormal tours and stuff once we learn some more about what's going on there first.
Which is because you don't want to also, I guess, taint the evidence with with all these people. Because like I said, that's the bad thing about Gettysburg is when you walk down the street in Gettysburg, it's literally you're getting bombarded with people. Do you want to go in a ghost store? Do you want to go in a ghost store? Do you want to do this? Do you want to do that? Like it's what it's all become. Well, it was like that before Ghost Adventures, but Ghost Adventures didn't help.
Right
when they went through there. Like the old orphanage, it's a Civil War museum now, but in the basement they still kept it the same way. And like, there's just I'm telling you, like, I'm not even exaggerating. I don't know if you've ever been to Gettysburg or not, but yeah,
that's actually where my son had his first experience with the paranormal was in Gettysburg. So
yeah, and it's such a beautiful. I love the city. It's beautiful, but the amount of ghost hunts and ghost hours and all that stuff.
That's all it really has became.
Yeah.
Which
that and ice cream shops.
Yeah. Actually, one of the things that I did forget to mention too, of a reason of why ours could be potentially haunted, is a lot of our props are authentic props. So like we've got, we have lobotomy tools that were actually used. We have caskets that have been used for showings. So they wanted to make it the most authentic experience. So the owners actually brought in things from the time period, the 1800s, legit things that were used, in that time period and on people, eBay shopping and stuff. A little more than I care, I'm going to have that stuff in my home or nothing, but that again could also be part of the haunt part. It could be something attached to that casket or those tools that were used on them. So those are always something to look for too. Like, it might not be your property. It might not be the it can literally, or people can bring them in too. There's been several times that we've had different people out there and we get different spirits, but when those people aren't there, those spirits don't contact us or don't show. I don't know if they just don't want to speak to us or if they're with that particular person. So there's so much to the paranormal world to really decipher, to figure out where does it all come from.
There is, because my wife and I were talking about going down in Louisville during Halloween. I think it's the weekend before Halloween. They have a horror movie festival down there called Scarefest, and it's one of the bigger ones in the country. The Warrens' son-in-law is bringing Annabelle, the actual Annabelle, to the convention, and I'm like, I'm not going anywhere fucking near that thing. Like, and I don't believe that. I'm one of them people that think the Warrens were scammers. At least Ed. Right. I think at least Ed Warren was a scammer. Lorraine, I think she had good intentions, but I think Ed Warren was a scammer. And even I'm like, no, I'm not going anywhere near that damn doll.
Right.
I don't care if it's behind glass.
I'd like to know how they moved her to the portable one, because I wouldn't be moving her out of that glass. That's all I gotta say on it. So
the son-in-law's an idiot. That's probably the best way.
There's a video up
of him having her out of the glass.
Of how he blessed it. Yeah, how he blitzed the new home for her, the portable home, and how they moved her over.
Oh wow.
So
Between that and Zach Bagans touching her
yeah,
on the show. He's another one of those guys. I mean, he seems like a likable guy, but straight up he's a douchebag.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, it goes back to that. This is a demon. This is and it's like,
Yeah.
where's your proof? What did you do to investigate that?
Did you ever watch the Demon House that he made?
I
He made
have.
like
Yes.
that movie honestly is what completely, because even before I was like the whole time watching the show, but when I watched that movie, that's when I firmly and fully believed that he's completely full of shit.
Yeah. Yeah. That's why I said I love watching them, but there's so many of them out there that I'm just like, this is so much for shit. And we love taking people that don't know. Like, I love taking people on an investigation and truly showing them how to do it. Like, that is one of the fun things for me. Explaining how things work, showing them what to look for, how to debunk things. Because I think that's one thing that it's the ghost hunting in the paranormal world has blew up so much, because it used to be this big taboo thing that no one talked about. And now everybody's doing it. But there's a right way to do it and a wrong way to do it. And understanding this isn't something to play with. Like, this is real, and you can cause some serious damage if you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah, me and my brother I used to go, and my rule is always don't go by yourself. A lot of people want to go do shit by themselves, and that don't ever go by yourself, because one, you don't, if you're especially if you're gonna, and don't trespass. That's my thing. Don't trespass. Don't go alone, because if something happens in whatever old building you're in, because again, these are old buildings. These are dilapidated, falling apart buildings. Or if you're in the middle of the woods and something happens, you need to make sure somebody is there to help you.
Absolutely, yeah.
But I used to go to Colonial. Again, being from Virginia Beach, I used to go to Williamsburg a lot, and I used to go to Colonial Williamsburg all the time. Now, a lot of those buildings in Colonial Williamsburg, they're said to be haunted, but at the end of the day, a lot of those were moved to where they are. I mean, that doesn't mean they're still not haunted, but they were moved there by the Rockefellers when they purchased the land. The Peyton Randolph house, the George Wythe house. I think the George Wythe house was there, and then the mansion, the governor's mansion, is there. And then the jail. Now, this jail is infamous because it held. That's what a lot of people don't realize is when Blackbeard was killed, it was off the coast of South Carolina. But it was the governor of Virginia that sent the crew to kill him. And they brought, his crew back and his head. They say they brought his head back. There's a place in Hampton called Blackbeard's Point where this is where they said they put his head on the pike. But in that jail they did keep Blackbeard's pirates, some of his crew. And we were there late one night. You can go through Colonial Williamsburg whenever you want, because it's on the college campus. And people actually live in Colonial Williamsburg. People still own houses there. They didn't buy all the houses in that. But me and my brother were there late one night. It was probably about 11:30, 12 o'clock, walking through. And he wanted to go down by the jail. And then my body just stopped. I couldn't walk anymore. And I'm like, no, we should not go down by the jail. And my brother was like, no, we really need to. No, we're not going. I'm not going to the jail. You want to go? Go. I'm not moving from this spot, because everything inside of me right now is telling me don't go anywhere near that damn jail. And he decided he wasn't going to walk down there by himself. So we turned around and we left. But like, I can't explain. I've never had that feeling come over me before, where I don't want to walk over there.
Hey, yourself is the best tool when you're ghost hunting. Yes. It truly is. Like, trust your instincts, trust your feelings. That's going to be a big part of it. Like, don't know when to stop too. That is a big thing too. If it's getting too bad, if you're getting that, you need to stop right then and there. Like, we're really big too on, like, we won't mess with like the Ouija boards. We don't mess with like seance stuff. Like to me, that's not scientific. That's not ghost hunting. That is entering into a whole different realm that you don't need to be in. So
unless you know what the hell you're doing.
Right.
That's the thing. And a lot of these people who are doing these seances, they don't know what they're doing. Like I said, I'm not the biggest, and I'll be the first to admit, I'm also not the biggest believer in Ouija boards. I'm sure weird stuff happens with them, because essentially, yeah, they could 100%. There's no reason they couldn't talk to a spirit or talk to a demon or something through the Ouija board. But I don't mess with them like I said, just because it's no. It's one of those things where I don't, especially growing up. I'm not the most religious person in the world. I'll be the first to admit that, but I grew up Catholic. My family was we're Italian. We were Roman Catholic. Church every Saturday, so Sunday school every Saturday. I'm sorry, Sunday school every Saturday, church every Sunday, all that stuff.
Yeah.
And one of the things my mother always said was, "Don't you ever bring a Ouija board into this damn house."
Yeah.
But all right, so Beer Fest. Do you guys have anything going on during the summer at all? Like, do you have any special events going on?
Not as of right now. Hopefully, for season 2026, we're actually trying to work on something where it is more year-round thing. Like I said, there's just a lot of renovation going on right now. So this summer we won't have anything.
Mm-hmm.
Our first thing, like I said, is the Camp Zool, which is the first weekend of September. The only thing that we have right now is we are doing the hiring events. So we are looking for scare actors, security, maintenance staff, makeup artists, general staffing. So we are doing hiring events every second Saturday of the month. And we do that right there we do the auditions and everything right there on the property, which is 1449 Greenbush Cobb Road, Williamsburg, Ohio. I think that's the address. Sorry, I don't have it in front of me.
That's fine.
But it has all the information on, like, we do have a website. It's CincinnatiFearFest.com that you can go on there, and it's got like our hiring dates. We're also on Facebook, I think Twitter, or X. I think that's what it's called now. Is X, right?
I do the same thing every week when I'm saying goodbye.
And then of course Instagram. We're pretty much on all the social medias, and you can just type in Cincinnati Fear Fest and it pops it all up for you. So yeah, that's really the only thing that we have going on is just, like I said, those builds and things. So we're not really doing any haunt stuff for the summer.
And it's really hard in Ohio to do year-round haunting. That's why I said when you said you had there was that one in Michigan that does year-round. I'm like, are they indoors?
They're indoor. They are
That's
indoor.
why.
Yes.
Yeah.
So they do like a Valentine's Day haunt. They do they have the Legendary Axe, which is a bar there. And then they have a few other events throughout the year, but they are year-round with the bar and the haunt.
Yeah. And I'm in Hell's Dungeon, and we do, year round. We do the regular season. We do a Christmas haunt.
Mm-hmm.
We do a Valentine's haunt. We actually just did our first Easter /420 haunt. It was actually more 420 themed than Easter. And then we're doing another one here on the 13th of June for Friday the 13th. They're doing we're doing it's Movie Madness. It's basically everybody's going to be a movie character.
That's awesome.
I will unfortunately not be there for that because I will be in Indianapolis that weekend. But yeah, no, it's like I said, especially being an outdoor haunt, it's really hard in Ohio to do year-round stuff and that. And trust me, we all get it. I know Brimstone wants to do it, but still, it's like, are you really going to get people to come out in the middle of December in Ohio?
Right. Yeah. That's actually something that we're working on, is more of that infrastructure so that we are able to do that in the future as we keep growing. So, because we've been open since 2019, so still fairly new, but we're growing and learning each year with more things of how to do things, and
that's how the haunt industry works the best. Is just people get an idea, people, take that chance.
Yeah.
So, but you said, so when was that camp? The camp one more time?
Camp Zool is the first weekend of September, so I think it's the 5th, 6th, and 7th. I don't know if we will have anything on our website because it's kind of like a separate. They rent the property from. I mean, we're there, but they rent it from us.
Yeah.
So I think you have to go through Camp Zool if you're wanting to experience that. You have to go through their website and stuff and get tickets.
And was that like a Ghostbusters type thing, or
it's
is it just coincidence that it's Zool?
I don't know like where their name came from. It's almost like a music festival, so it's like a whole weekend of
all right.
heavy metal music. People dress up, things like that. So
I mean, that's still cool.
Yeah. And
like
I do believe they're wanting to do, I think, the trail or something like that during that. So,
it's always cool because that's the kind of crowd you want to, is that heavy metal style crowd.
Yeah.
Like one of the first haunts I worked at was in Virginia Beach, was one of our local concert venues, and I actually got I got to be backstage scaring people in a maze while Alice Cooper is playing on stage, and it's one of the coolest damn things in my life.
Yeah,
and that's like year one. It's like, how 30 years later, I still ain't topped it.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, that's our big thing. Like I said, so we have the Camp Zool, then we have the Bluegrass Fest, and then the big thing with our haunt though, when we open, you'll be able to see we have multiple live bands. We usually try to have a live band at least once every weekend. We also do what's called karaoke. So it's basically karaoke, but we call it karaoke. It's more than just like that haunt. It's more of, we've got the environment, we've got the town, we've got vendors and food trucks. I mean, like I said, you have plenty to do.
Which is what we're still working on. We're still trying to make it that atmosphere at the dungeon. Like, we're still very well unknown, in all honesty, in our area. Like, where we are, we're not allowed to put signs up and stuff like that because it's called Hell's Dungeon. The people who own the property are very Christian, very religious. They don't want hell on,
Right.
So we're working on it. We're working with them. I think they're giving a little bit of concession to where we could put the dungeon on stuff.
Okay.
But we want to create that atmosphere too, like in our queue line where we don't have a line. You get a text when it's your turn. And I'm trying to convince our boss that, hey, we need to do a karaoke. We need to get carnival games in here. We need to get stuff to keep these, because one of the biggest, that's the thing about us, is our only negative reviews really are the line and the wait.
Yeah. The queue works great. We used to have that queue. People loved it because they could like explore the town and do that. Unfortunately, now that we have 3 attractions, we don't have our queue anymore. But we do have like the fast pass lane where you can actually upgrade to the fast pass and not have to stand in the long lines.
Sometimes the lines are what makes it fun.
Oh, absolutely. And this year, like I said, we're gonna have sorry.
You're good.
We're gonna have shows going on through the town too. And we're gonna try to wrap that around the town too. So no matter even if you're in the line, you'll still have stuff going on that keep you entertained. While you're doing that.
Yeah, because it's amazing how many people come to a haunted house in the middle of October and expect not to wait in a line.
Right.
It just blows my mind.
Yeah.
Oh, I had to wait an hour in line. It's October 30th.
You're going to have that though. I don't know if you guys do it. We actually started something last year too, that the last 2 nights I think we might be doing it this year again, but we do glow stick nights. So what that is all the lights go off in the attractions and you've got to make it through with one glow stick. So
our final weekend, we do 2 special nights. We do the blackout night like that. Last year, we actually, during those really bad storms in October, we actually lost power one night and we still opened. Like we're indoors. We had no power the entire night. We made it work. Our makeup was very basic because we didn't have our airbrush in that. And we made it work. We didn't have many people come out, of course, and it was our Pride night on top of that. So lights got killed dark. I think with the lights didn't come on until literally the last person left the dungeon.
Oh wow!
Left the haunt. The lights came back on, and and it was interesting. It was a very interesting night because it's a damn near a hurricane outside, and we're safe because we're underneath the shopping center. But it's still crazy that we had an impromptu blackout night. But we do a blackout night, and then we do this thing what we call chaos night, where you walk through the haunt backwards.
Okay.
You start in the finale, you end at the beginning.
Gotcha.
So, yeah,
That
that's it is. It's actually one of our more popular events that we do. And we do have we're actually, like I said, we're actually gonna be open next month, but I will not be there that night.
Well, hey, something you might consider on the chaos night, maybe. We tried something this year. It was more for our actor staff than it was for customers. So we put everyone's character in a hat. And so you had to draw the name out, and whatever character that was what you were playing that night, but in your character's costume. So like you might have had the madam in her madam's dress playing the mayor, but like in the madam or the mayor, so like, yeah, that might be something fun to throw into your chaos night too, to make it a little bit more interesting.
What we did the first year I was there, is we actually took all the section leads, because we're like 45 minutes on. Was it 30 to 45 minute walk through our haunt, depending on how fast you go, of course. We took all of our section leads, brought them in, actually right here onto StreamYard, and I'm pretty sure it was the Owl Late StreamYard because Raz did it. And we had a draft, is what we did. We took all the names of all the actors. So we had clowns in the bayou. We had, asylum patients in the clown section, and things like that. And it like I said, it went over very well. It was, but that would be funny though to see the madam as the mayor. That I'd probably be laughing my ass off on that one. Yeah.
So yeah, it was, like I said, just something fun to do. Like I said, it was more kind of to build the morale with our actors, and it gives your actor an experience too. Like, yeah, because you got to act something totally different than you've been acting all season. So,
and you know what? That's what shows your quality, how good of an actor you actually are. If you can take that part and just immediately go into another scene, put on a damn good show in that scene as well, you're a good actor. Yeah.
That's how you tell if it's your scenes or your actors too. Like, is it the scene that's not working, or is it the actor that's not working here? So
that it is.
That is awesome.
But Mary, thank you once again for coming on. Again, I thought it was awesome to have not only Cincinnati Fear Fest, which again is one of the bigger haunts in our area, but a paranormal investigator herself coming on to talk. And once again, where can they get information on Cincinnati Fear Fest?
So for Cincinnati Fear Fest, again, you can just type that into Google, Cincinnati Fear Fest, or CincinnatiFearFest.com. It'll take you right to our website, Facebook, X, Instagram, any of those. You just type in the Cincinnati Fear Fest. It'll give you all the information. And then if you're interested on the Undead Explorer side, we do have a YouTube channel with some of our investigations for Undead Explorers, and the ability to contact us that way too. So,
tell you what, real quick before you go,
you'll love the videos. I love the videos. Because I'm sitting here looking at you at the bottom, like, where do I know this lady from? And then you come up, and I'm like, it's her. I love her.
Well, thank you. I didn't know that you were one of our watchers. So,
I love all things paranormals, and I write ghost stories, and I want to learn more on how to do it properly. So I find the ones I've been trying to dig through and find the ones that are actually real at their job. And I love to share you with my mother-in-law, and you're amazing. Your team is amazing.
We have not really put much out because last year, like I said, we started with the haunts, so we wasn't really getting out there and getting to do any of our, like, I think our last one that we put on was Cynthiana, Kentucky. We did the Roth's Opera House in Cynthiana, but we were so busy with the haunt, because haunt takes majority of your time.
A lot of time.
Got to get out there, and then a lot of our investigations have been at the haunt, but every time I try to record something to put it up, everything's distorted, and I'm like, well, apparently they don't want their story out there.
All right, so Jen, you're gonna have to send me a link to their group, to their page, if you don't mind.
Apparently not.
because I'm not seeing it on here, but
oh yeah, I'll shoot
I'm
you a
also
link
trying
later.
Yeah, I appreciate that. But Mary, again, thank you for coming on. Cincinnati Fear Fest. Like I said, I've seen videos of it. It looks awesome. I've been wanting to go to just the ghost town itself. I've been wanting to go check out too, and just something I've been looking forward to since I moved to Ohio. In all honesty, but once again, Jen, if you feel free to stay in the, I'm going to put you in the backstage area. Feel free to stay there for the rest of the show if you'd like, or you can just go to the 2 links I shared to finish watching if you wish. But once again, thank you very much for coming on.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. Good night. This has been a lot of fun. Honestly, I had a lot more fun. I had 2 more people lined up, but they never got back to me.
I can tell you my favorite ghost experience if you want.
Well, you can do that real quick. We got a couple minutes before we got to take our break.
Whenever I was a kid, we had 2 little kids that were at my uncle's house, and we'd go and play with them, and they always wore the same outfit constantly. They would roll the ball back and forth with us. They loved playing hide and seek more, and we'd play and we'd play and we'd play. And when I got a little bit older, I asked my mom why they never changed clothes or why they never were allowed to come over to our house for a sleepover like our other cousins. Because they were our cousins, they just my mom had told me that they had passed away a long time ago and they never left because their dad was still there. And he was fun. In the middle of the night, he had my sister had went to the bathroom, come out, and he'd asked her to follow her. And she's like, "You're here in the middle of the night. You must be one of the trusted grown-ups." And he led her to this room, and it was not the way it was when she was awake. It changed. She saw it as through when he was alive, and he'd shown her this chest. And when she got up, the chest was still there, and it didn't have the stuff in it that he'd shown her when she was that night when she had followed him. So those are like my 2 favorite ghost experiences from a kid.
That is creepy as shit.
Yeah, that is creepy. Now that I'm older, when I got older, I realized I'm like, holy cow, what the hell did I do?
Well, I can honestly say I've not had a paranormal experience in any of the haunts that I've worked for, but on the property of the second haunt. Well, definitely the second haunt. I worked for the same people own the first and the second haunt that I worked for, because they own the haunted hayride for since early 90s. They opened that up, and then they became basically the Halloween tradition in Virginia Beach. So the Virginia Beach Amphitheater approached them and had them build, I believe it was called Fright Fest or something like that. I can't remember what it was called, honestly. We always just called it the amphitheater anyways. And that's when I, got the scare while Alice Cooper was on stage. But at the property, it's an old farm. They turned it into this kind of like an entertainment venue is what it is nowadays. It's got like a petting zoo. All the elementary schools in the city come to the farm during the fall to see how a farm works in the fall. All the kids get to pick a pumpkin, like a little small pumpkin, not a big pumpkin, but a little small pumpkin they can take home. They get a hayride. They get to play in the have lunch in the petting zoo, all that good stuff. But on the property, there is a dog kennel, because the dog kennel is the original business that they opened. And above the kennel, they actually built a bunch of apartments. Like one of the apartments is where the owner of the property lived, and his whole family lived there. When I was working there, my first job, between doing the hayride, when I worked for the property, my first job was in the dog kennel. And at night, me and my best friend lived there. Actually, a few of my friends lived there, in all honesty. And I would go and I would hang out with him. We'd watch wrestling. We'd play video games. all that good stuff. They smoked a lot of weed. But I would hang out with him, and then he would always end up passing out about 11:30, 12, because we got to work about 5 a.m. So he'd pass out about 11:30, midnight, and then I would basically walk over to my other friend's house, and that's where I would either crash or just spend a little bit of time with her before I left. She's LGBT lady. Her name was Susie. She was great. I used to love her to death. We were like really close friends. But the only way to get to her apartment from his apartment was to walk down the stairs into the kennel, which is dark as shit at this time because, again, we're in the country. Walk out the door, walk down a long set of runs, take a left, out the gate, and then up the stairs to her apartment. And this is I'd say about a month or so after the original owner, Mr. Vogel himself, passed away. He passed away. He was like 90 years old. It was old age and that. But he had a lot. He built that property to what it was. The petting zoo, the farm market, everything was his work. The kennel itself. He left the kennel to his daughter and the farm to his son. So as I'm walking, you get that feeling that you're being watched by something. And I'm sitting here in my head originally going, I'm just getting myself worked up. It's dark, it's midnight. There's very little light and I'm already nervous, walking. But I still couldn't shake that feeling. So I turn around and look and I see the shadow of a man wearing a cowboy hat. He's inside the kennel. I'm on the outside, but he's inside the kennel. And it's like he's standing in the kitchen of the kennel, which is where we used to make the dog food and that. And it feels like he's watching me. Now, I didn't hang around. I took off and I went running. And I told Susie when I got upstairs, look, I told her what I found, and she goes, "Do you think that was Mr. Vogel?" It's very well could have been. I didn't fucking stand around to find out. That's the closest thing to a paranormal experience I've had in a haunt, though. But just turning around and seeing...
I didn't know I should have been afraid.
Yeah. I was in my 20s. This is the first time, growing up, in my house, in the house we lived in, I used to always... My grandmother passed away when I was really, really young. I was 7, 8 years old. When my grandma, I may have been a little, in 1980, I would have been 10. I'm sorry, I was 10. And we moved out. My grandfather lived there by himself till he got remarried. But we ended up moving to Salem Lakes in Virginia Beach. It's off Salem Road. It used to be an old Indian burial ground. What used to have been over there and that. But I would constantly have nightmares about my grandmother. Not really nightmares, I guess dreams you could say, of my grandmother haunting that old house. This is a house they bought when it first built. They were the original owners in 1980. They were the original owners. He was the only owner until he passed away in 2008. But once my grandfather passed away, I stopped having dreams about that house. I haven't had one about that house or the bathroom. It was always the bathroom because the bathroom connected to the master bedroom. It had 2 doors, the master bedroom and then one into the hallway. Uh-huh. And I can't tell you why, but that bathroom was always where I had dreams. The doors would slam shut in my dreams. The water would turn on by itself and that. And for whatever reason, I couldn't even tell you why I was in that bathroom in my dreams. But I was always have these dreams. But when my grandfather passed away in 2008, I stopped having them. I haven't had one since.
I have no idea why.
I couldn't tell you why either. I have not had a single dream about that since 2008. But the weirdness is that
I think one of my favorites idea is you finding the idea when you're older, what could have asking people in your family and finding out if something odd happened in the bathroom.
I know my grandmother.
That type of conversation would be great to have.
I don't have anybody to talk to anymore, though. My mom passed away. My aunt, I really
You don't
talk to her. No, I have a brother and a sister that I don't talk to. Me and her, them never talk. I really have very little contact with cousins and that. My aunt, who we do stay with right now, she doesn't have any kids. My mother passed away 2 years ago. She's in her urn right next to me. But
hi.
That wasn't even the scariest thing growing up. I used to, like I said, we moved into this house in Salem Lakes. We lived there for 17 years. And for whatever reason, it was a 3-bedroom townhouse. Any other room in this house, I was fine. The small room, the medium-sized room, I was fine. But if there were certain times in all those years, because my mom liked sleeping on the couch. That's where she liked to sleep. So I got the master bedroom on a couple of occasions, and this master bedroom had a walk-in closet. And I never had any issues unless I was sleeping in that master bedroom. And I would always have a feeling something was watching me from that closet. I kept that door shut. I put a chair in front of the door to make sure nothing, if there was something in it couldn't get out. But I would also have sleep paralysis. I would wake up in the middle of the night with paralysis, that sleep paralysis where you can't move. When you wake up, you're fully awake, but your body's not moving. Like I struggled. The TV would be on and my body just would not move. And this happened the entire time we lived there. Again,
there was definitely something there.
Yes, because once we moved into a much older house than that one was, again, never had it again. Never had it again ever since we moved. And now I'm 47 years old. It's been well over 20 years.
Ooh.
Yes, you see that too? Tell you what, we're going to go ahead and we're going to take our break real quick. It is a quick 3-minute break, and when we come back, we might have another guest. So stick around. Give me about 3 minutes. Let me get down here to where we need to be, and we'll see you guys in a couple minutes.
Greetings and shabebans. We are the Retro Reductibus Cephala Podcast, a long-form bi-weekly show that celebrates all the things that made growing up awesome.
Yeah, that sounds good, but I don't know what all those words mean.
I think what Parasite seems trying to say is that on Retro Reductibus, we explore a range of retro goodness, from toys, video games, and movies, to cartoons, and even snacks and school lunches.
Oh. And we do it all with a positive spin, a slew of killer guests, and some very adult language.
And you know what else is cool?
No.
This crazy show is part of the Door King Podcast Network with new episodes every Tentacle Tuesday.
What's that?
And if waiting 2 weeks for a new episode gives you a sad, know that we drop bonus episodes all the time, like the off-format Crow's Nest and an interview series we call The Brig.
You can listen to Retro Reductibus on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, or any app that's cool enough to carry the only show that celebrates all the things that make growing up awesome.
Oh, that was abrupt. We're back. It didn't do the thing.
Yeah.
That must be new because it didn't do the thing when it was over. But welcome back, everybody, to Shivers. I am your host, Sewer Dweller. Joining me once again, finally, Friday. Well, welcome back.
I'm back, and I'm happy about it.
So does this mean we're going to get a Tomb of the Terrible on Monday?
In theory, I'm going to find out if we're getting a Tomb of the Terrible.
I know.
I can make it happen.
I know Dell's been having some internet issues lately too, and there's just been a lot of issues. There's been a lot of crazy storms lately. But we are going to bring Mary back on because Mary has brought a guest.
Hey.
Welcome back.
Hi.
So this is Miss Nicole. This is our gypsy from Cincinnati Fear Fest.
Hello.
She decided to grace us with her presence after she got off of work. And it's best to hear the experience from her from the lovely gypsy trailer.
I told everyone's going to think I'm crazy.
Yes. No, not actually. I've gotten a couple of messages on Facebook and people are really enjoying the show. So, but of course, the first question we got to ask, what was your name again? I'm sorry, I'm bad with names.
Oh, that's okay. I'm Nicole, also known as Madame Sorrow.
Madame Sorrow.
Ooh.
So, Mary told us about a time you had your hair caught on fire.
Oh, it's always a whole week. You know, you ever seen those?
Was actually Hell Week, wasn't it?
It was hell. Yeah. Are we allowed to say that? Is that okay?
Yes. Yeah. You can say whatever you want.
Okay.
We have the only now the only rules we have are no politics, no religion.
Oh, well, that'll be easy then. That'll work. So, you know, you ever seen those horror movies where I'm also one of those people that talk, you know, at the horror movie going, what's wrong with you? Do you not see the signs? Well, I'm that idiot who didn't see the signs. So did you tell him from the beginning with the wasps and everything?
I didn't. I just kind of told him about some of the tearing
so
stuff
let's
down.
start at the beginning, okay, with the signs.
Okay.
So we went in there and it was like, what was it, the night before we opened, and they're like, hey, it's yours, do whatever you want with it. I was like, fine. So we went in there and there was wasps everywhere. And if you know anything about wasps, you have to kill them at nighttime. Right there, right? The trailer was full of wasps. We could not kill the wasps. Okay, that's the first time. But you know what? We're like, whatever. It's just wasps. So anyway, I hadn't done the paranormal, and Mary's like, oh, I brought the equipment. I said, what fun is that going to be? So here's the thing. Let's backtrack a little bit before we started with the paranormal stuff.
Okay.
When I walked in, her daughter was there, and she was cleaning a mirror. And I was like, oh, and it would not clean. So I was like, oh, I got some dryer sheets. Let's clean this, right? It wouldn't. It was like,
there was like some weird symbols on the mirror that we were trying to get off of it.
And they kept coming back.
Yeah.
Okay, there's another sign.
Yeah.
Once again, if you're watching a horror movie and you're like, what a bunch of idiots. You're like, this is so not going to end well. Okay.
Now, as somebody who does a horror movie podcast, I will say right now, you say that now while watching the movie, but in real life, when that shit's happening to you in real life, you're like, you know what? I am a fucking idiot, aren't I?
And you just keep going. So here's the other thing. We were cleaning up and everything like that. So there was a picture.
With a Ouija board in it.
With the Ouija board in it. I had not known that Mary had tried to fix that before I came in.
And it wouldn't budge. It was like it was screwed to the wall, wouldn't move.
So I go in and I went, whoop, and it fixed it. And she's like, how did you do that? I was like, I just fixed it, right? Okay. That's 3 signs right there. Okay. And this isn't just the first day, by the way. So then she gets out the paranormal stuff. And her daughter is really in tune with things. So I was like, oh, yeah, you go ahead and put that on. And she starts telling us the story of little Agatha and how Agatha is there and all this stuff. We're like, okay. But one of the things that she mentioned, it was like, it wasn't Agatha, but it was another spirit. The crow's nest. Here's the thing. Remember we were cleaning up? I had just cleared out a bird's nest from the corner. That was what, 4 signs right there?
Yeah.
Yeah, you would think that you would run, but we're like, no, whatever. We're just chopping it up, right? But anyway, they proceed to say what's going on. And so we cleansed it and we put the crystals on top of the mirror because we felt it was very heavy. And by the way, there was a box behind the trailer. And we're like, that feels weird. But we're like, whatever. You know what? Maybe it's just our imagination. Okay. So as we're going and we're getting there, the first 2 nights, I didn't really spend a lot of time in there. But when I did, also we decorated it. We would come back and things would be
torn off the wall.
Torn off the walls. And I was like, stupid kids. I was like, oh my gosh, what is wrong with these kids? Can they not like respect things and put them back? You know what I mean? So it was we call it Hell Week, the last week.
We did a full week. We did, it was the Halloween week. We had ran that Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So it was what we called Hell Week because it was a full week of the haunt open. So
one of the first haunts I worked, I did the same thing at the haunted hayride.
Yeah.
So yeah, I know. Yeah.
So the week going in, not only is Halloween closer and it's more intense, we're extremely tired, and I'm more in tune with my. I don't know if she told you, but I actually can read palms and things like that, and I sense things, and I try not to, but you have no choice. So I'm a little more susceptible. So we're going in, I believe it was a Monday night, and I was feeling rather odd. And I was like, and I think that was a night where a lot of stuff was torn off. And I'm like, what in the world? I was like, whatever, we'll just deal with it. And we didn't tell anybody because we didn't want to make a big deal about it. We didn't want to be the whiny crybabies because sometimes older women come off as Karens. We didn't want to be that. So I go in and I started crying every time I would hold someone's hand, and I just felt things. And then I couldn't talk. It felt like something was choking me. Every time I went to say something to help somebody, it was like I could feel it. And I was like, oh my God. And I was like, and I couldn't. So I went out and I was like, I got to go home. I was like, something's not right. I was fine the next day. And I was like, you know what? Maybe I just need to rest. Got some, the doctor's like, you're fine. Really? There's really, just give you something, but maybe just need to rest. So we went back. Was it? Yeah, the 3rd. That would have been a Wednesday.
Yeah.
On Wednesday, we were like, okay. Because Thursday was the Halloween. So I actually had went and got Shelly and Stephanie because I was like, can you do me a favor? I said, my crystal has been taken off the mirror. It has fallen. Can you please go in there? And I didn't tell her anything. Can you please go in there? I don't have any sage or anything. Can you please cleanse it for me? I said, I have these weird feelings and I need you. So that was before we opened. And then I went to check on her and she's like, oh my God. I was like, what? She's like, I went in there and it felt like something was choking me. I said, you too? She's like, yeah. So she went in there and completely cleansed. And she's like, I don't know what's in that box, but there's something bad. I said, well, we don't open it. We just keep going. So then it was, I think that night, I don't remember too much because now it's a blur, but it was the one night, I think it was it Halloween or was it before Halloween night?
I think it was Halloween night.
It was one of those nights. Anyway, so I was like, all right, let's do this. It's going to be great. So the lights kept acting a little funny. And I was like, dang, the stupid electricity. I have barely any light now. How am I going to see? So I go in there, like I said, things are off the wall again. I was like, oh, let's just put it back up. So I've got 4 people in there. This is where it gets really interesting. So I have 4 people in there, and I always tell them the story about where I come from and things like that. And all of a sudden, the first girl gets up, and she's like, I got to get out of here. Something's not right. And I'm like, she runs out. I'm like, is she okay? And they're like, no, she'll be okay. The temperature inside the trailer is getting a little cooler, but I think, in my opinion, it's because it's cooler outside. Just ignored it, right? That's what you do. You ignored it.
Yeah.
So then the one guy goes, he's like, maybe I should check on her. As he stood up, he tripped, like something had kicked him. I was like, okay. And I'm like, okay, bye. So the door is locked and the lights started flickering a little bit. But like I said, I thought it was electricity, right? Poor electricity. So I'm starting with the gentleman's hand, right? And I'm starting, and the last girl gets up, and she was supposed to have a reading. She gets up and she runs. Well, actually, before she runs, the room got really cold where you could see your breath. Like, in the movies, like, and I thought that was a false thing. It came out of nowhere. The breath, like you could see the breath. And she's like, what is that? I said, you know what? It's just cold outside. Call your friend. Call your friend. See, and so I hear her say, what the hell are you talking about? It is not that cold out here. She got out and ran. And so all of a sudden, this calming came over me like a mom calm, like you better relax because whatever it is, you cannot let them have the upper hand. So I finished reading The Gentleman's Hand, and I say to him, you need to go see the ladies at the other end, and you need to be saged. Okay? You need to get out of here, and you need to be saged. I proceeded to walk out, took a breath, and said, oh my God. But as I'm walking out, I got 4 more people coming up for reading. I was like, oh my God. I was like, you got to get a hold of yourself right now. So I go and I was like, all right, we do this. So we go in, the 4 ladies, and they were not together. 2 were together and 2 were not together. I started reading and the lights kept flickering again. The two of the women went out and she's like, we don't feel comfortable. We got to get out. That's 2 more that left because of whatever was in there. So I finished up with the 2 ladies. And then the other last 2 ladies come back in and they're like, hey, I don't know what was in here, but something followed us to the bathroom. I was like, okay. I was like, okay. So there was a candle. I don't know how this happened, but it wasn't near me. I was reading the one lady's hand, and all I know is the whole side of my head caught on fire. I'm like, oh my God. And she's like, oh my God. And all we were trying to do is get it out, get it out, get it out, get it out. And so we sat there, and it was after 1:30 when we left there. There was nobody in the parking lot. And I'm like, oh my God, I could have been dead and nobody would have checked on me. So then we get out and I proceeded, and I was like, y'all won't believe. I said, I will not go back in there. So the next night I went back and I went to see Shelly, and then I said, hey, can you, and before I even said anything to her, she said to me, what in the world is going on? I said, what do you mean? She's like, whatever was attached to those people was really bad. She's like, and I did whatever. She's like, those people would not leave until they got what they needed. They then went to the trailer and have something called fuck off juice and poured it all over that trailer. Okay. Also, before I forget, that night beforehand, before they put anything in there, what was on this? There was something on the floor. What was on the floor?
It was like
there was something
spilled, but it was like in the shape of a little boy's head.
Yeah.
And there's like an old like vintage picture that was part of the decor in there. And it looked like that little boy on the floor.
And
like it was really weird looking.
And nothing was in there beforehand. And I'm like, okay, so they did what they could. Cause I was like a nervous wreck. I'm like, I don't really want to go in there. I don't want to go in there.
Well, yeah, no.
And I'm like, okay, let's suck it up. Let's just suck it up. So I was telling what had happened, but you could feel how tense it was. And I was not wanting to go in there, and the lights kept flickering, like it was getting angry. Like whatever it was, and it was Halloween night, it was getting angry. So angry. So we so we didn't really I think one person went in there and I did one reading and I was like, okay, we're done. I can't do any more readings in there because I think I started to choke again is what it was. I was like, I started to choke again. I was like, I'm not going in there. I was like, I will do readings anywhere you want, but in that trailer. So then I think that was, because it was Halloween night. We went and did, okay, so we tidied up. Everything was fine. No one had went in there. Remember that. We had did the paranormal investigation. We had did all that stuff. And then we're like, let's go to the gypsy trailer. We went in there. Everything completely was tipped over. Everything was off the walls. And I said, oh, fuck, who is fucking with me now? Who is doing it? I just want to know who's fucking with me. So we put also the picture frame was moved again. Mm-hmm. Remember the picture frame? And we put the headphones on. And I think Matt said burning. I was like, oh, now they're making fun of me.
Yeah.
So, and then some other stuff happened. Yeah.
We actually had one of the owner and the general manager with us of the park, and we put them both under in the Estes method. So we did a double Estes with them. And I don't know, he's the general manager still will not tell me what happened that night. Mm-mm. But he was under for just a few minutes on the Estes.
I don't even think two.
And he ripped those headphones off and just took off. And when he took off, something pushed me over.
Oh, and then when they were in it, we could feel that cold coming in again.
Yeah, it started to get real cold in there. It was a really interesting night in that gypsy trailer.
Yeah.
So when I come visit in the October, stay the hell away from the gypsy trailer is what you're telling me.
Absolutely. It'll be something different this year.
Well, you don't want to go back in there?
No, she's getting a whole new room this year.
It's sort of funny because they even put a sign that says was it warning,
stay out or something on it. So
yeah.
That's one of them things where the owner, basically the owner and the manager just said, nope, we're going to get rid of that fucking thing.
Yes,
that's gone.
Pretty much. Yeah. And it's so funny. Now, they've used this trailer every year and no one's ever had experiences like that until this year when we were there.
And that was going to be my question is, do you think it was the trailer or do you think it was something in the trailer?
My belief in it is because they've never had a real reader. It's always been an actor that's acted readings in there prior to. And now you had a real true reader in here. And I think it opened up some of that.
So you think they were trying, so you were kind of thinking they were trying to get into contact with it.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, we forgot. So listen, they were okay at the beginning. So we don't play with Ouija boards. So we had put anything that I call it the bad box. I called it the bad box. We put all the stuff in the bad box. When I went in, the 5 Ouija boards were missing.
We have no idea what happened to them.
No idea.
Yeah.
It's not possible that somebody could have just come up and took them?
We don't know.
We have no idea. Yeah, we've never have really discovered like what happened with those Ouija boards.
So my other question is going to be: do we ever know what? Did you guys ever find out what's in that fuck off juice?
No,
I don't know. Yeah,
no
I don't know. We have so Shelly and Stephanie are vendors there at Cincinnati Fear Fest, and is Ascending Shadows? I think is what their business is called, and they're very spiritual people. Like they sell the remedies, the stages and things like that, herbal remedies to people. So that's who she had come in and help her kind of cleanse. And they do card readings and stuff as well. So
and obviously whatever this thing was, the cleansing didn't
the cleansing just upsets it more.
Like it might have pissed, like I was going to say, it probably just pissed it off a little more.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So you're thinking, so this is probably something, whatever it was, could have been demonic, is what you're saying.
Absolutely. That's what I was saying earlier. There is something very dark there. We've been doing multiple different investigations to try to figure out what it is. We just can't.
Yeah.
A lot of times my husband's seen it. It comes in a 3. It's like three different entities, but they come in as one. It's kind of hard to explain. The way
almost like the mark of the beast.
Pretty much, yeah.
And what we've noticed more towards after, was it 11 o'clock at night?
Yeah, it's usually about 11:10, somewhere in there is when that kind of starts to take over.
It's when the fog starts rolling in.
Yeah. It's very interesting how it works. Like if you go earlier in the night and you're doing your investigation, you kind of get that fun experience. You know, you got the spirit Shelly that's flirting with you and doing all that. And then about 11:10 every night when we're investigating, it's like that fun atmosphere starts to go away and that dark atmosphere starts to take over.
And you could feel it.
You feel the change of the energy in the air. So it's very interesting.
Yeah, I mean it really is. That just, and for some reason, if it was me, I would have to guess something to do with the Native Americans or something, or something.
I don't know if there was that. And like I said, we did have that one. The one incident that we do know for sure of the man who took his life. You know, that's a very powerful thing to do on a land. You know
what? I didn't even think of this either. But Bobby Mackey's wasn't too far from you.
No, it's down, right down, probably about 20-30 minutes. Yeah, it's not too far.
It doesn't exist anymore either.
No, they tore it down. Actually, what I heard was they tore it down, but they're keeping the well there that's haunted. Yeah. And they're actually going to rebuild back around it again.
That's what they were saying, is that Bobby Mackey's is going back there as soon as they can figure out how to do it, because the erosion was getting too bad as well.
Yeah. So yeah, that's there. Like I said, there's a lot around us that is haunted.
And I'd like to say we're talking about all this stuff, and now all of a sudden there's thunder and lightning outside of my house. just to say this.
Hey, my daughter, I just asked her, I'm like, do you want to go on there and say anything about your experiences? And she says, no, when you talk about it, it gives it more power. And I'm not talking about it.
I mean, if you look into the history of like the Robert the Doll and that, like when they say if you talk shit about Robert the Doll, even if you're not around him, he's killed people before.
Oh, absolutely.
That's what they've said.
That's why we take it like if we're with somebody and we're doing an investigation and they start that like provoking or disrespect, I'm done right then and there. Like that's not what we're.
We've had that before. We've had
it to where we've had a couple people out there and I'm like, nope, we're done. Like this is not how I do this.
And they've also seen what happens when they provoke it.
Yes.
Yeah. Because I mean, this is an invisible entity. You don't know where it is. You're just really at the end of the day, you're guessing. Absolutely. What the spirit is, if it's friendly or not. Last thing you want to do is piss something off that you can't see.
Yes.
You ever heard a ghost say "fuck"? What was it? Fuck you, fuck off.
It told us to fuck off the other day. Yeah, it actually came across and told us to fuck off.
And at that point,
you hear it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and at that point is when you fuck off.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, when it tells you to go, you go.
Me and Jen were talking about before the break, with the one that I saw on. Like I said, I've never had an experience during a haunt or at a haunt, but on the property of the haunts, we used to like I was telling her, I used to work on a farm. The first building on the farm that the owner built was a kennel, and above the kennel he built some apartments where him and his family would stay when they first opened the business, and then he started building up on the land. Now it's this big entertainment venue. There's a giant clubhouse where they have parties. We used to have zombie weddings out there during the Halloween season and that. And it's a petting zoo. All the elementary schools in the area come get to pick pumpkins and stuff like that. But at inside the kennel, I used to hang out there all the time with my friend. We would watch wrestling, play video games, all that good stuff. They would smoke a shit ton of weed. I mean, almost a bag and a half a night. He'd pass out by 11, 15, 12 o'clock, and I would walk across to my other friend's house. And the only way to get to her house was to walk down the stairs, through the kennel, out the door, down a long set of runs, and then you had to walk out the gate and up her stairs. Now, Mr. Vogel, the owner of the property, had just passed away about a month beforehand. And as I'm walking down these runs, you start getting that feeling something's watching me.
Mm-hmm.
Now, my first thought was I've got myself worked up because it's dark out. We're in the middle of the country. There's no lights over here. And I'm getting myself worked up thinking something's watching me. There's nothing watching. But I couldn't shake that feeling. So I turned around and looked. And in the light in the kitchen, there was a very small light that you could see through the door, was the shadow of a man wearing a cowboy hat. I didn't stick around to find out what the hell it was. I ran. I'm by myself, I'm not sticking around to find out what the hell this thing is right now. I get up to my friend's house. I tell her what happened, and she's like, "Oh my God, I think it was Mr. Vogel." It very well could have been Mr. Vogel. I wasn't going to stand around because, for starters, if you see a shadow with a hat on it, that's usually a hat man, and that's not a very good thing.
Hey, Hat Man's nothing to mess with. We have talked about this Hat Man a lot. We actually had a character last year based off of the Hat Man on our trail. But I think almost everyone in our group has had some form of experience with the Hat Man. This tall shadow with the brim hat, the red eyes,
See, now the shadow that I saw didn't have red eyes. It was just a shadow of a man with a cowboy hat.
Okay.
And like I said, I just wasn't going to stick around to find out because, again, I'm by myself. This is before I had started ghost hunting and stuff that. Nope.
Did Friday
when
have
I
something?
saw Short Hat Man bit me, I don't know how much you get to hear. The Short Hat Man bit me while I was sleeping, and I woke up to its teeth on me. I didn't know they could bite you.
Oh.
There were teeth marks.
Yeah.
I mean, it depends on what it is. They can scratch. They can, depending on their power.
of what they have and what they are. I think personally, again, there's nothing that says this is true fact or not. I don't think spirits can. I think that's when you get into that more demonic energy or poltergeistic energy that can do things like that. But yeah, it's like I said, you hear about it all the time, people getting scratched and bit and things like that when they're on investigation. So that very well can do that depending on the power that it has.
Yeah. And like we were just talking about too, Hatman is just nothing to mess with. Like if you see a Hatman, don't stick around.
Nope, be done with it, because I don't think anybody truly knows what it is, but it's definitely something. There's definitely something to the Hatman. Like I said, we actually did have a character because there's been so many experiences. Mapper Pinch is what we called it. Mapper Pinch. Actually, it came from the owner's son. Kept talking about this Hatman, this guy that he kept seeing. So the owner created a character off of this guy, and his son kept saying that the Hatman kept going like map, and like he would do like a pinchy hand. So they called him the Mapper Pinch. Is what our character's name was. It was the Mapper Pinch, which was very interesting. But
I sent the shadows ascending shadows a message asking if their protection spray was the fuck off juice, and to go from there, because I'm like, if that stuff works, I would definitely like to try it.
Oh, yeah, they have some good stuff.
They have some really good stuff and great prices too. It's very affordable.
Their shop is awesome.
Yeah.
I just love that they call it fuck off juice.
Yeah, I mean, I know you're in Texas Friday, but I mean, if you ever get a chance to come down during the season at any point, we have some amazing vendors at Cincinnati Fear Fest too. And they're all private vendors. So like we don't have any associate, like they sell their own stuff, but we got some good stuff that people come in there and sell and things like that. So there I go again, promoting my haunt, but
that's okay. How about you come on Chainer's Haunted Secrets and promote your haunt there?
Hey, you guys send me the invite, I'll be there. So
okay, next Wednesday at 9.
Yeah, send me a link and I have no problem.
Yeah. And the best part about it is you'll be on with Pyle. He is actually I think he's on the chair. He's he's on the board of the Ohio Haunters Association.
Okay, yeah.
So he's really good friends with Christian at Dent and that. So or Maximus. I'm sorry, he's Maximus.
So Ohio Haunters Association. That's OHA.
OHA, yeah.
So I know we get some rewards from them every year, and then we also have Ohio Valley Haunt, OVH.
Yeah, Ohio Valley. They're critics, they're reviewers. The OHA is like it's almost like it's a haunt. It's association though. It's kind of like one of those things. They have a monthly check-in to make sure everybody's doing okay and stuff like that. There's a lot of good resources and that with them as well. They do a lot of good work. Like Maximus is a really good dude. I don't know if you guys know who Pumpkin Smasher is at Dent.
I don't personally, but we've heard of him.
Yeah.
So
he's you bring him anything, he'll smash it for you.
We have like, I guess ours would be Pockets.
Yeah.
Pockets is our biggest one. So have you ever heard of Pockets the Monkey from Terror Town or Cincinnati Fear Fest? That would be our big person is Pockets. So, and he's been there since 2019. He's actually been there since the haunt opened. Back when we were full touch, everybody knew Pockets because Pockets would fuck you up. Like if you had a yellow bracelet, we had yellow bracelets back in the day, and so Pockets would get you with shaving cream, mustard, ketchup, blood, like you a complete mess. From
I think I've seen the video with him and Nora. I don't know if Nora. I don't think Nora was wearing the bracelet. I think it was one of the friends took the bracelet.
I think Scare Factor. He's done some stuff to the Scare Factor team. I'll tell you that now.
Yeah. They love it though.
Yes.
We actually just started Soft Touch. we're not going to do like the heart because again we have a lot of teenagers working for us.
Yeah.
And even then, only certain ones of us are allowed to do the touching in that because the last thing you also need is a young 18-year-old getting a little too handsy with one of the customers or something like that.
That's kind of why we moved away from haunt as we did so we don't have children working for us no more. We are actually looking for 18 years and older this year. We do still have a few 16, 17s that were grandfathered in, but 16's the lowest age that we take. Because when we were doing haunt, when we were doing touch, it was getting to a point where it's like you did have a bunch of kids trying to do stuff that they didn't understand. And so we moved away from the touch. Last year, we took away all of the blood and the mud and all that too. But we are bringing, like I said, a little bit of that blood back this year.
I'm excited.
I know we are super excited for it because that is something that a lot of our customers did enjoy, that not even just getting dirty themselves, but watching other people. Like that was the fun. Watching other people go through it was amazing.
Yeah.
And we can't do stuff like that because again we're indoors and that and it's really hard to clean up. But we got certain things we get certain things that we do to people. Like one of our new things is I get to put people in a coffin.
Okay. Yeah.
We're talking. I know he wants to put like a coffin ride in the very first scene, but it's like I've told him before. Unless I don't see how it's going to be possible. Especially we get a really busy night and we're taking about a minute or like 30 seconds to a minute in the very first scene to put a few people in the coffin ride. I don't know.
It's going to back up.
Yeah.
Pretty quickly.
And like I said, the most negative reviews we get is the waiting.
Yeah.
People are impatient though.
They really are
impatient.
impatient.
Well, it's like I was joking around with Mary a little bit ago. People bitch that it's a 2 hour. Well, it's a 2 hour wait. I said you chose to come on October 30th.
Right.
Like, what did you think was going to happen? Like,
it's like when you go to a restaurant 5 minutes before they close and you order steak.
Yeah.
And you just hear all this crashing in the back room for some reason.
Yeah. Well, we have that too. Like when people do show up to the haunt right before you close your gates, and then they get all mad. Like, well, we should have been. It's like, why would you show up at the very end of the night? Like, and then expect to get that great show that you wanted. Right.
I'm still confused as the ones who come in shit faced, like already. Like they're just drunk off their asses.
Yeah.
Like we did have a bachelorette party come in last year, and they didn't even make it a third of the way through the haunt because they were just drunk off their asses. I think one of the girls tried to shove a pink substance that was in a water bottle down the throat of the girl who was taking the pictures. Tried to kiss her, all that good stuff. And she's like, I don't know what that pink substance was. Like, are we really going to pretend it ain't Pink Whitney? Really?
Right. Right.
But they come into my scene because I was the first scene last year. They come into my scene and the girl starts rubbing up on my stomach and I'm like, you need to back the hell off.
Right.
I said, which part of don't touch did you not understand? There's a whole video outside telling you what not to touch and all this stuff not to do. And actually, you know what one of the other things on that rules are? Don't come in drunk.
Right. Yeah.
Maybe they both read. I've come to that conclusion.
Right.
Yeah. And her boyfriend, or one of the guys she was with, looks at me and goes, who wouldn't want a hot piece of ass like this touching him? I said, a married man.
Right. Yes. That is one thing I know that, like, I love our fans and our customers that come through haunts, but there are some of the most disrespectful people that come through too. And it's just like, what is wrong with you? That was the good thing when we had touch, because you just fuck those people up. Yeah. Like we never had issues with like people touching actors when we had touch, because they knew you'd get fucked up if you did. Now, like this year was the first year we had one of the biggest issues with our actors getting touched, people getting drunk. And so that was a big thing, is trying to train our actors, like the difference between a drunk touch, like someone just fell over and accidentally, or someone actually grabbing you too. So
yeah, and the thing about it is, again, with us, we have a lot of kids working with us and for us. They're great actors too. On top of that, it kind of gets hard to keep them wrangled in one spot, but other than that, they're really good at what they do.
Yeah.
And on top of that, we have some really young kids, like the owner's grandson and a couple of other like kids of parents. And these kids will creep the shit out of these guys. Like that, they'll get some of the biggest scares because I'm like, that's a kid.
Right?
Yeah, well, kids are creepy anyway.
I know.
We had this one girl last year, and I think she was like 14 or 15 years old, but I swear to God, I thought she was 9 when I met her. She was that small, but she's like 14, 15 years old. And I guess her and her friends were gymnasts because she could do a back bend, and she would do that back bend and walk like that towards these people. And these people would drop to the damn ground.
Yeah.
I love it.
But one of the things I get to do now, is besides being a guide and being in the first scene, is I've been told to be an asshole.
Yeah.
I will, make fun of people, make them laugh, all that good stuff. Get the vibe going when they go in, but also one of the first things I do is, being in the industry for so long, I can spot a problem really quickly, and I will get right in the face of the problem, and dress them down, make fun of them, all that stuff. And I was like, and if you got a problem with this, because if he starts getting angry, it's like, look, if you're going to fight anybody in here, you're going to fight me. I'm the adult. You're going to fight me. We're going to fight anybody in here, and I will drag your ass out. It's that simple. Because I'm going to tell you right now, if you try to fight anybody else in here, there are 80 of us in here. There is one of you.
Yep.
I like our. It's like the Ron White joke is, I don't know how many we're going to use, but I know how many it's going to take to whip your ass, but I know how many we're going to use.
Right. Yeah.
And that's just one of the things you got to deal with, especially, in a haunt is, and it's when I'm training people, I'm telling them flat out, it's not if you get touched, it's when.
Yeah.
Because it's going to happen. Now, it's up to you how you react to that. Yell, we have, I can't remember what the damn word is now. I think like scumbag or something like, or slime bag. When somebody yells that, the security is supposed to follow them, to watch them, make sure, they don't do it. They're not touching or causing that big of an issue.
Yeah. Ours was Seattle. If you yelled Seattle, it was, it's funny because everybody's like, well, why wouldn't you just yell help? How people's yelling help? Like, we're not coming if you yell help. You're in a haunt. You can't just yell help because there's no help coming.
Well, on top of that, if you yell help, you don't want like 3 other groups to come running backwards in the haunt to get involved in whatever's going on as well.
Yeah.
And this way, security knows, who they got to deal with.
Yeah.
Like on the haunted hayride when I worked there, we had to actually go tell the monitor. And if it was a serious enough one, because I got punched in the eye once, just pulling myself onto the wagon, this girl just straight up. Jab right in the eye, and I'm not gonna lie, I lost my shit. I called her a dumb bitch, all that good stuff. Told her she was going to jail. They bring her up front. They pull her. We actually had off-duty police and sheriffs, and in Virginia Beach, the sheriffs don't mean shit. In all honesty, they run the jail. They are bailiffs in the court, and they do process serving. They don't really have any authority like the police do. But they pulled her off the wagon. They pointed her out to the monitor. They pulled her off the wagon. They brought her into the room. They put her in handcuffs and everything because she was going to go to jail for assault. And they come back and asked if I wanted to press charges. I just said, "Was she crying?" She said, "No, she's been bawling since she got off the ride." I said, "Nah, I'm good then."
You scared her bad enough.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
But yes, but that wagon just sounds like a problem, though. In all honesty, it's a straight up problem or something in that wagon.
Yeah,
because
that gypsy wagon is something else.
Crazy.
Yeah, enter at your own risk,
right?
Yes.
Hey, we will give you a tour of it if you come up this season.
Wait, if you come up, I won't go in there with you, but we will shut the door and let you have the equipment.
No, I'm good. I'm good on that. I'm not a religious person, but I know not to fuck with demons.
Yeah, me too. I live in a haunted house, and I usually bring my own ghost to help haunt the house. Dude, I have this serious memory of watching Ice Age with my mom on the couch. Then I looked, we talked about the actors and actresses in it and everything. And then I looked at when Ice Age came out, and I'm like, that's like 3 years after she died. that's 3 years after she died, and I watched a movie with my mom.
Have you ever taken pictures and like things show up that you didn't notice right away? What was it you could do? What is it like you could do with your camera?
So like I've done like just some like rough editing, like changing the contrasts and stuff. And it was some pretty wicked looking stuff. Like we take a group photo every year. At the beginning of our haunt. I think almost all haunts do that, right? So you get all your actors together. We call ourselves the Wolf Pack. And we get them all together and we take this big group photo. And just an ordinary picture. Well, then when I put it on the phone, I kind of like started doing some contrast stuff with it, just to brighten it up a little bit and stuff. Like things started to come forth. Like you'd see all these different faces that was in the picture with us. It was very interesting.
We're not there.
Yeah.
The whole crew came to join, whether they were dead or alive. That is epic.
And I don't know, we were watching one thing, and he said they took a picture, they caught us or something like that.
Yeah, and actually said you seen us on the film or something. You seen us.
Yeah,
it was something pertaining to that picture. Like they had seen us in there or something.
That's just crazy.
Yeah. We're like, ooh, okay.
So see, we're not just a haunt. We have real scares.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It seems like it. Like that's just crazy.
And actually, like we have in our sawmill attraction, there's just that's one of the ones that we do a lot. It's one of the newer attractions, so it's not the actual building itself, of course. I think it's the land that's around it. But there's something about that one just in general that just walking through it, no actors, nothing.
It's creepy.
It just, you get this intense feeling as soon as you walk through this attraction that just adds to that scare factor.
Wait, did you tell the night about the tiki torches?
Oh, the tiki torches on the trail.
Ooh.
That was actually a Halloween night. Like I said, a Halloween night was very, very active.
So tell about that night. Oh my gosh.
So that night we have tiki torches that line our trail.
We couldn't get them to light to save our lives at all.
And
this night,
so we'd already closed down the park. We did an investigation after closing on Halloween. We actually was there until like 7 a.m. doing this, and you lose time there. It's really weird. Like we had no idea that we'd been investigating that long, and we looked down and we're like, oh shit, it's 7 a.m. already. Like we need to go home.
Waffle House, here we come.
And so that night we're going out to like a schoolhouse. We have a schoolhouse on the trail, and someone looked over and they're like, the tiki torch is lit, and we're like, well, no, the maintenance put them all out. So we go out there and it's lit, and they put it out. When we come back out of the schoolhouse, the rest of the torches were lit, like going towards the church, which was not lit before we went into the schoolhouse, and there was nobody there. Like we were the only people on the property together. So just
they were trying to give you an invitation to come talk.
Yeah,
I'm pretty much sure. Like I think that's what it is. Like they'll tell you too on the spirit box, like where they want you to go and things like that. While we're there, so we try to follow as much as possible when we're doing the investigations to get as much as we can from them. But some of the nights we're like, yeah, no, we're not going there.
Well, they keep wanting us to go into the store. We haven't gone in there yet, but we have seen lots of orbs, like on the video camera.
So we used to have a museum there, and that's where a lot of that equipment was, like the lobotomy equipment and stuff like that. And that's where they keep wanting us to go, but we haven't went in there yet and done any investigations. So that's sure to come.
Just not enough time.
There isn't. There's so much there. It's so hard to
see
everything.
And the stuff like the lobotomy equipment is what makes me think that maybe that has a lot to do with it, because like Waverly Hills, a lot of those folks, when they had their tuberculosis and that, there was a lot of lobotomies and that going on there as well. And you're leaving a piece of yourself there, with that lobotomy equipment. So,
and
that definitely,
there's a lot of like legit stuff from asylums, and I don't know if it was from Waverly. I don't know where he got that kind of stuff from, but it was all like actual used stuff and procedures. And then, like I said, a lot of our caskets that we have, they were actual used in funeral, like how you do like you rent the casket for showings, like for cremations and stuff.
And then funeral homes will sell those caskets later on. A lot of our caskets were actual used caskets that are on the property.
Yeah.
So there, again,
the residuals,
lots of stuff that can be probably brought onto the property.
It's just the perfect recipe for a hell of a haunting.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah.
But it's fun too. So.
Yeah. I mean, you guys need to make it into a book and try to sell it during Halloween because there's a lot.
Yeah.
I would buy that at any point and add it to our collection. I would love to have that book.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I'm hoping I can eventually get my equipment to stop distorting when I'm there. I can record anywhere else and my equipment works fine. But they're like, nope, we're not letting you record. So hopefully, especially with it getting warmer out and we can actually do more investigations. I'm hoping that we can actually get some stuff up on our channel, on the Undead Explorers channel, from some of those investigations, so we can actually have some video recordings of some of that evidence.
That would be really interesting because, like I said, it's just sounds like just popping off down there. In all honesty, and like you said, so nothing's ever been built on this land before.
No,
at least
it was
for record.
It was all just like a big farmland prior to Cincinnati Fear Fest being there. So
I mean, like I said, the only explanation, I mean, there's really no explanation for it at all. But the only guesses could be possible Indian.
Yeah,
Native American.
We've gotten the hanging tree a few times too. The spirits talk about a hanging tree. Not quite sure where on the property the hanging tree is, but
the hanging tree.
Could it have been where that guy killed himself?
I don't know, like if it's there or.
But the other story that the little girl told us, she was hung there.
Yeah. So the Agatha, the little girl, she said she was hung out there in the wood line. So. I don't know if that is the exact spot. Like no one has really any record of.
Yeah, there won't be any records of that unless
the diaries. That would be it.
Yeah.
But like I said, it just sounds like it's crazy down there.
Absolutely.
Like, Ohio's got some stuff going on. I mean, there's
is this
a lot of.
Kentucky's technically Mothman State, but Ohio is actually one of the most haunted states in the United States, like the most haunts on record.
Portal. That's what it is.
It's probably why we are huge in the haunt industry too. We're the largest haunt industry.
Yeah,
Ohio is. So
I can tell.
Like California's catching up slowly, but we are still number one. That's just for registered haunts. That's not for anything else because it's like I was telling what was it, Katrina earlier? You still got Circleville where they have the big Halloween festival every year with the pumpkins and
that is so fun. That's where I lost my first tooth.
There's just stuff going on all the time. Fear in Columbus is always like every holiday almost they got something going on.
Oh yeah.
And this is definitely the haunt capital of America right now.
And like I said, even paranormal, there are so many stories of different paranormals in Ohio. Actually, fun fact, the road that I actually live on is one of the haunted roads in Claremont County. It's Dead Man's Curve. So,
we just don't get out between 1:10,
1 and 3.
Yeah,
from 1 in the morning till 3 in the morning, you don't go outside because there's a faceless hitchhiker. So, I've never.
Go ahead.
My kids have seen him, but I've never personally seen him. So,
that was me.
Yeah, I know. I'm putting it up just so people can see it. This is the YouTube channel for the Undead Explorers. If anybody's interested to go see some of their videos, definitely go check them out because, like I said, it just sounds crazy as hell down there.
Yeah.
And like back to Ohio, you got Mansfield, you got the Ohio Reformatory, you got the Haunted Hydro, Dent Schoolhouse, all three, and then Cincinnati Fear Fest. There's 4 haunts right there in different parts of the state that have legitimate hauntings inside of them. And that's just the ones we know about. There's the haunted infirmary that we talked to Bill. Was it Bill earlier, I think? Or Rick.
Yeah,
his name was Rick.
Rick,
that the stories he was telling was crazy. Like people being locked in the basement because they had Alzheimer's and then dead bodies being thrown down there with them because, back in the 1800s, and that's where they put dead bodies because it's the coolest place in the house or the building. So it's like you get to watch this guy rot for 5 or 6 days till the coroner or the mortician shows up to take the body.
Yeah.
And just craziness all around. And I'm from, like I said before, I'm from Virginia Beach. We're literally one of the first places that anybody besides Native Americans set foot on, on the American soil. We have a ton of hauntings out there, but it's nothing as crazy as up here. Like a lot of the stuff down there is like, Blackbeard's ghosts or Blackbeard's crew being kept in the Colonial Williamsburg jail. We have the Peyton Randolph house though, that in Chloe Wizard, that was actually featured on Unsolved Mysteries. And there's a lot of shit that, like, people woke up to soldiers standing at the end of their bed.
Yeah.
That'll stay there. And there's been 3 deaths there, I think, 1 including a child being hung in the backyard by mistake. You have the George Wythe house, and that one's got an awesome story with it. I don't know how legitimate it is, because the story is basically George Wythe is one of the founders of Williamsburg, and that he was one of the really big aristocrats in that. And he was invited, him and his wife were invited to the, it wasn't George Wythe, it was Skipwith, Lady Anne Skipwith. And her husband were invited to a ball at the governor's mansion, which is right up the lawn from where the Wythe house is. And what's said to happen is his wife, Lady Anne Skipwith, was very, very jealous. Like a very jealous wife in that. And they go to the ball, and she sees something at the ball that upsets her so much that she runs away. And what a lot of historians think is that she saw her husband kind of getting cozy with her sister.
Yeah.
As she's running down the lawn, she loses a shoe. She gets to the Wythe house, opens the door, walks inside, and the servants that were, downstairs getting ready for bed themselves, all they heard was the one hard shoe and then the thump of the sock or the stocking. And you hear her walk up the stairs. They say she walked up the stairs, climbed on the rail, and then just threw herself off.
Aww.
Now, they say to this day, if you go out and you stand in front of the Wythe house, I have tried this numerous times. The only time we ever got any kind of reaction was, and I'm pretty sure it was just somebody checking the lock on the door. I was with the ghost tour, and she said you're supposed to go up to the window or go up to the house and go, Lady Anne, I found your shoe. And then when she said this, all of a sudden you hear boom on the door, and she keeps going, and we're like, lady, don't pretend you didn't just hear that, right? But the only problem is history says that didn't exist. That Lady Anne Skipwith existed, but she died during childbirth.
Right.
Is what the records say. So, the stories out in Virginia, it's a lot more historical than it is anything else. And like there's tragic Native American ones, because they actually, if you can go to the campus of William and Mary, there's a house there where they kept Native Americans that they just essentially took from their tribes, young Native Americans, and they were teaching them, Christian ways, civilization, how to be civilized, all that good stuff in their minds. And this one Indian boy would climb out every night and go running, take all his clothes off and just go running all around the campus and climb back up into the window of the dorm before sunrise. One day he just climbs out and never comes back.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody knows what happened. But like I said, Ohio has these crazy ass stories.
They do.
It's like when the spirits open the door for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
that's one of the crazy anyways, though.
Yeah. Well, I mean, up here in Dayton, there's really not those crazy, the crazy stories like you got down there, or
I bet there are. You just haven't got out there yet.
And I've been looking. I've lived here for 12 years, and I've been looking. Because I'm trying to do some videos on TikTok and that, showing some weird stuff here in Dayton. So far, I found this thing called Fallis Cemetery. It was a pioneer cemetery. That's literally in the middle of a damn neighborhood. Like I had to walk through someone's yard to get to this thing.
Oh wow!
And it was found in like 1812, and it's just a family, and half the tombstones are broken because of the robbers and that, the grave robbers and the vandals. And it's just like I said, just planted in the middle of it, and not a poor neighborhood. I'm talking like these are $1 million homes.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, they don't.
And then the other thing was like Frankenstein or Kettering Tower. It's the only story behind that is that I found besides the witch. They call it the Witch's Tower. There's a bunch of things I call it. And it's literally it turns out it was only built to look over the golf course that's there. But I guess back in 1957, a young lady and her boyfriend, she was just learning to drive. I guess it started raining real hard, so they went into Kettering Tower to hide. Lightning hit the tower and killed her.
Oh, wow.
And you're supposed to, like, if you go there at night, which it's a city park, you can't do that. You're supposed to be able to see figures walking up and down because the tower itself is blocked off. It's bricked off now. You can't go inside.
Yeah.
You're supposed to be able to see like figures walking up and down the stairs.
Yeah, I don't think there is too much in Dayton. Like when I've done some of the research, there's not a whole lot in Dayton. I know there's been a few that's popped up. The Bly Manor or Bill Manor or something. That was one that reached out to me recently. We haven't, but I think that's in Fairmount, Ohio, or
Fairmont.
Yeah.
I just wonder, like the equators, like if there's anything to do with the equator lines.
It's the way lines. It has a lot.
Yeah.
It's like, have you heard
line
Valdosta time loop? Like there's.
Yeah, we've been looking at a lot of that Valdosta, looking into that in Georgia. So that's an interesting one.
You know, the old saying, what is it? You don't get gas in Valdosta?
Yeah.
I have not heard that one.
Oh, you'll have to look it up.
Tell him your story. Okay, listen, this is how in sync we are. So you know how you start one thing and you go down a rabbit hole? So I was watching something on Valdosta, Georgia, and I was like, Mary. And she's like, oh my God. She's like, that is so true. She had an experience with that.
Yeah, I actually had stopped at the Valdosta gas station. So it's a story of there's an old gas station. It's an exit that really doesn't exist. So going from Georgia to Florida, people have had experiences like almost like a time loop.
Like a time loop. Like you go back in time, but you don't.
So this gas station just kind of appears, and it's an old like self-serve, like not self-serve, but like where they pump the gas for you, like one of those old 50s.
Yeah, self-serve or full service.
Yeah, full service gas stations. And people have stopped there and got gas, and like everything looks very old, like out of its time in this gas station. And then like they'll go to like leave, and they keep doing a circle even though they're not turning anywhere. And they keep passing this until eventually they get out of the loop and end up back on the highway, and then they can never find it again. But it's called Valdosta. Is it Valdosta? Georgia. You just have to look it up. They've got some podcasts and stuff on it. But it's really interesting, and it's funny because I was telling her, I was like, it's so funny. One day we were on our way to Florida, and we stopped off in Georgia because we were almost out of gas, and it was a very similar situation that happened. Like we lost our way, couldn't find our way back to the highway, but couldn't understand because we never turned anywhere, and then eventually end up back on the highway but going the wrong way. Like it was just so crazy. And I had never heard the stories, and she had come across it. And I'm like, that's crazy. I've had that same experience that these people are talking about. There's even like, they go into like where a guy's dad actually worked there back in, what was the 80s?
Yeah, the 80s.
The early 80s. And the guy stopped talking to his dad because they thought that he had relapsed because he was talking about these time travelers that kept coming into the gas station. And then later on, when this guy has heard experiences from these other people, he kind of felt bad because
maybe
he lost.
Dad was right.
Right. His dad may have been seeing time travelers. It's a very crazy, out of this world stories that's on it, but you'll have to check it out.
Yeah, I've got it up now, and it's there's a lot of stuff on it.
Yeah.
And a lot of YouTubes, a lot of TikToks.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, there's a lot of I know out west. I think there's a couple of those kind of things too. Like when you get closer to like Area 51 or Roswell, especially. And that's one of the cool things about Dayton too is that a lot of people don't realize. And I'm going to do an episode on this eventually. If they really did find aliens in Roswell, they were brought here. They were brought to Dayton.
Yeah.
You're never going to get around to see them or anything, or where they brought them because that's on the middle of a military base. But it's just crazy that they were brought. I never knew until listening to another podcast that they brought them here.
Is that right, Pat? Is that the
yes.
right? Yeah. Right,
They brought them the right path.
Over in Riverside.
Yeah.
Well, Riverside, Fairborn, it's almost like
That's another thing with Ohio. We are one of the big alien sightings as well. Like there is a lot of UFO alien sightings, some weird, strange stuff in the skies.
You want to hear a fun story about aliens?
Yeah, of course I do.
Why not?
So, all right, here we go. Listen, everyone is going to think I'm crazy.
You're not crazy.
All right, so
I want to be friends.
You say that now.
With both of y'all.
By the way, we just met this year in the haunt season. Like it was really weird. Like we just kind of clicked.
Yeah.
And so, but people think we've known each other
Forever.
pretty much ever.
Yeah. So I came from Florida. So I was born in Ohio, but we moved when I was 8. So I came to and I hadn't seen my family in like 9 years because Ohio is not my sorry. You live in Florida. Who wants to visit Ohio? Let's be honest.
I get asked the same thing all the time when I say I'm from Virginia Beach. They're like, why the hell did you move to Ohio? Have you ever been to Virginia Beach?
Right? And so I was like, you know what? It's time to go see my family. So I went, okay, blah, blah. And so on the plane, okay, so the plane was supposed to take off late. There were some complications. It's like, whatever. So from, Cincinnati, Kentucky Airport, whatever you want to call it, to Orlando, it takes normally 2 hours and 35 minutes, depending. So I'm like, great. All right. I already downloaded my Netflix movie. I'm in the back of the plane because I got the ticket last minute. You know how you get those cheap tickets. So we're all sitting there and about not long, actually, I want to say about 10 minutes in. Oh, so we left, by the way, we took off at about 7:10. I want you to remember that time, 7:10. Do you remember how long I said it took to get to Orlando? Okay. So I'm sitting there and all of a sudden the plane goes like that. And I'm like, great. It's one of those. And I'm like, are the things coming down? And all of a sudden this side of the plane starts screaming, aliens, aliens. And all of a sudden the flight attendants come back and start shutting down the windows. And I'm like, what is their problem? Also, the lady that was talking to me, sat next to me, spoke Spanish and didn't want to speak to me at the beginning of the flight because I'm a talker, but that's okay. So by the end of the thing, she was talking to me in English. Anyway, so I was like, and this lady starts having a panic attack. And I'm like, is she going to be okay? So the lady behind me is a nurse and she was trying to help. And the one flight attendant guy, he said something very derogative that I will never, ever repeat to her. And it was a bad word. And so she's like, oh my God. And all we could hear was aliens, aliens, aliens. I'm like, what the heck are they talking about? So anyway, when we landed, it was 8 o'clock at night. And then these, I don't know what you call those people came on the not boat, what do you call it? The airplane. I don't know, marshals or whatever. They came on and they escorted the lady off. And then we got out and I asked the one lady, the nurse lady, I said, what exactly happened? She's like, honey, there were aliens. She's like, did you not feel when the plane went like that? I was like, well, all I know is the best Mother's Day gift I ever got. It was it took us less than an hour to get home. I will say thank you. So yeah, I was like, I didn't see them personally, but everyone on that side of the plane did, and they wouldn't let them open the windows.
Which is that if it's one person, that's one thing, but if it's half a plane,
it was the whole back half.
There's something to that.
Yeah, I was like, interesting. And at the time, I didn't know Ohio was like that. And the lady goes, yeah. She's like, didn't you know that Ohio is really known for aliens? I'm like, no. I was like, I've never seen any. Not really. I said, I always hear people, but I've never seen them. She's like, we've seen them our whole lives out in the fields. I'm like, well, duly noted. Never go to a field.
I mean, with the Air Force being so prevalent here and so strong here, it doesn't shock me, honestly. And like I said, from Roswell bringing the aliens here, or any of the other ships and stuff like that. I think the ships went to Area 51, if I remember right.
Yeah.
But if they were dead aliens, they were brought here to right pat. And so it doesn't shock me, that a lot of aliens are seen here in Ohio. Plus, there's a lot of farmland.
That's what it is. It's the farmland, and
yeah, there's a lot of just lonely, dark roads, and a lot of drunk people. So
I was gonna say some people. We've discussed the people of Ohio. Okay,
I know, and you know it's not any better. Like we're sitting there talking to them, going, "Remember, they're Brown County."
Yeah,
let's think.
I was joking with somebody earlier today that I'm in this group and they were talking about a bunch of people were posting people who were looking for pen pals from the Dayton jail and stuff like that. And the guy's like, "Oh, great, another person in jail in Dayton." And I responded to him, I was like, "Well, you should see the people who are not in jail in Dayton. They're have you ever been to Dayton? There's a reason they call us the meth capital of the world." Hey. It gets pretty bad up here.
I'm a substance abuse counselor, so I see all of it.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy up here. Like when I first moved here, I had to ride the bus, and some of those people on the bus, good Lord. There's stories I can't tell on here about people I heard yelling at each other on phones, trying to get into fights on the bus, and well, get off the next fucking bus stop. Yeah, please get off the bus because I really just want to get to work.
Oh my God.
But all right, it's getting to be about midnight out this way, and so we're gonna go ahead and call it a show. Ladies, thank you once again for coming on. It's been a blast. It's been a blast doing this show. I didn't even have time to do the news. That's how much fun we've been having.
Oh yeah.
So, Jocelyn, we got plenty of time tomorrow before the movie start. Before we talk the movie. Once again, Mary, you want to tell people where they can find you?
So yeah, again, Cincinnati Fear Fest. Just go to CincinnatiFearFest.com, YouTube, Twitter, X, whatever it's called, Instagram, and then Undead Explorers. The link's been shown in the comments to get to our YouTube. We don't have a Facebook page for Undead Explorers right now, just because I'm super busy with everything else. But feel free, Mary Mel on Facebook. If we do house investigations, pretty much. We don't charge for our services either. We're just out there to help people.
Yeah,
do cleansings, all that stuff. So if you have paranormal stuff that you want us to investigate, hit me up on Facebook. I'm more than happy to look into it and see if we can't set something up. And visit us at Cincinnati Fear Fest. Season starts September 20th, so that's when our opening day will be.
And I'm bad with names. Nicole, right?
Got it.
You want to tell people where they can find you if you would like? It's up to you. You don't have to if you don't want.
Yeah, I'll be at Terrytown or Cincinnati Fear Fest. Not sure
there you go.
There, but I'll be there.
Come see the gypsy. That's all we gotta say. It'll be it.
Actually, my costume is pretty wicked this year.
We are building an amazing
let's put it this way, it's gonna be eye-opening.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very nice. Jen, where can they find you?
Me, I'm Owlite, Fake Horror, Friday with the Library in the Blue Box, and basically all over the internet looking at those, trying to promote those things. And of course, we have Bloody Binge tomorrow. Hopefully we will have why can I not remember the show, and I do it every freaking Monday. Uncle Necro's Tomb of the Terrible. Oh yeah, and then tomorrow night we are going to have Corpse Garden Chronicles. We are going to do the Scary Stories edition again with some live stories.
Do you have anybody coming on with you, or just whoever shows up?
In theory, definitely Patty, but I'm waiting to see if anybody else wants to show up.
Very good. I know Raz is busy with haunt stuff right now. They're building more. So I don't know if you saw the video for Scare Factor yet. We now have a Freddy Fazbear's Pizza Palace style pizza place in the haunt, and we have a spirit store.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Oh, the spirit store was a hit. It was a real hit. Especially going inside the first thing I'm telling people is even in hell, when a shop closes, we open a spirit.
Awesome.
And of course you can find me at the Bloody Binge movie show everywhere you have any social media out there, Facebook, X, YouTube channel. It is now the Bloody Binge movie show, not the podcast, because people basically inform me, and I've kind of noticed that if you put the word podcast in your title, YouTube doesn't advertise it as much or suggest it as much. So it is now the Bloody Binge movie show. And tomorrow afternoon, night 2 of our halfway to Halloween celebration, we are watching Jacko. Tomorrow afternoon, 4 o'clock, right back here on the Owl Light Network. We have a bunch of good movies coming up. Next week, Mother's Day weekend, we're watching Big Bad Mama from 1976, starring Angie Dickinson and William Shatner. We have just so much coming up. I know the end of the month, we've got Rock and Roll High School Forever. And Jen, I don't know if you've seen next month's movies yet. June's movies that I've picked out.
I have no idea. I haven't looked at them. I've been slightly distracted. There's an insane list of reasons, but I'm going to go look through and find out.
Let's bring up the page real quick. They're not as exciting as this month's though. This month I was actually really excited to get to because of like movies like Big Bad Mama, Amityville Ripper, and of course Rock and Roll High School Forever. I haven't seen that one in so long. But for June, we are actually doing June 6th, Night of the Axe. The 13th, there will be no show because I will actually be in Indianapolis that weekend, unless I choose to do one the night before. And on the 20th, we are actually going to do a movie called Death Racers, starring ICP and Raven, the wrestler Raven. It's one of those Asylum ripoff movies that we've talked so much about on the show. And finally, at the end of the month, we are doing Death Screams. So 3 movies that I actually have not seen.
I don't know if I've seen them either.
But that's what's coming up in the Bloody Binge the next few weeks. Next month, we got to jump back into cryptids eventually here on the Bloody Binge because we've been waiting to do Mississippi for a couple of months now. So next month we might jump back into the cryptids and do the cryptids of Mississippi as we continue our trek across America for the cryptids of every state. And there's a lot of other stuff that, like I said, I love doing this show. This was a lot of fun. Mary, again, thank you for coming on because you've been a lot of great stories. I want to do something similar with truck drivers. Because
please.
Speaking of aliens and cryptids and ghosts, these guys have seen so many crazy stories. The only thing I've ever run into problems with doing it is getting the drivers to come on and actually advertising to them about offering to come on, because every time you post it in a truckers group, the people who run the group get angry about it and they say I think I did it one time. I just said, "Hey, I'm looking for truck drivers with paranormal stories to do a podcast." Oh, you're trying to advertise your podcast? I didn't even tell you what the name of the podcast was.
I think a lot of times too, when it comes to the truck drivers, you have to be really careful with that because of their, like, my brother's was a truck driver, my sister's a truck driver, and with their like ODOT physicals and stuff, if they even talk about some of that stuff, it can actually cause them to lose their license. Like they can lose their CDLs over it.
Yeah, I get it.
So.
I get that. So, like I said, I'm going to see if we can get it done. I would love to do one, but I do believe in either later this month or next month, we'll probably end up doing an episode for the cryptids of Mississippi. That's the next state we're doing. and then we'll see where we go from there. We've already done Ohio, we've done Vermont, and we've done one more. Who else have we done? Kentucky. We've done those. What we do is we spin a wheel, and then wherever state it lands on is where we go next. This way, I'm not, because it kind of gets a little predictable when you start doing it alphabetical or something. So I figure that's the best way to do it. This way, Wyoming doesn't have to wait 6 years for us to get to them. So, but once again, guys, thank you for joining. Mary again, Nicole, thank you guys for coming on. It's been a lot of fun. This is actually probably one of my favorite Shivers shows that I've done so far, just because of the great stories, and I've gotten a lot of messages on Facebook that a lot of people have been really enjoying this one. So once again, thank you guys.
Yeah.
Rick, Katrina, if you guys are still watching, thank you for coming on as well. The stories were awesome. The company was awesome. But guys, we'll see you tomorrow night. Be good to each other and keep watching horror.
And reading too.